Single coverage. Thornton caught it. Complete. Tyquan Thornton lets him know what time it is.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
With Craig Smoak's off the radar at 4:45, I would think, because Paul wants to wait as long as possible. So today, guys, the American Conference, we've known this for a couple of days, but today they added UNC Charlotte, or at least they will in 2023, which is that 2023, that mid-2023. Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, Rice, UAB, UT San Antonio, added to East Carolina, Memphis, Navy in football only, SMU, Temple, Tulane, Tulsa, USF, and Wichita State. If you look at that number, that's 14 teams.
And it's about to be 12, probably.
Well, if you look at the teams in the AAC that could be a part of, if there is a Chapter 2 in the Big 12, which we've discussed many times, SMU, USF, Memphis, all of them are a part of that. So that would get it down to 11.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Memphis.
So and if that in fact happens, and had an interesting conversation with a broadcaster out of Memphis. They, of course, are playing on the road against Tulane, which is a team that is a part of the American Conference as well. Craig, it's another part of this. It's like the Conference USA used to be this, and the American Athletic used to be this, and the Big 12 used to be this, and it's like everyone used to be something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody used to be something, but yeah, there's a lot less to go around now. It seems like in terms of the spots and the conferences, and just there's teams running out of schools. So Conference USA, it will be very interesting. They've got 8 remaining schools now, and you look at the Sun Belt, and they've said that they've got interest in taking some more of those schools. So I don't know what's going to happen with Conference USA. Obviously the American had to do something, and they were not just proactive, but they were super active as they did kind of what the Big 12 almost did. I mean, they didn't just do like a phase one and then 4 teams and then they just went full bore. Like, hey, here's a bunch of teams we're adding to the mix from a couple of different places. And I'm interested to see like what the then chain reaction to the domino effect is to that, because there's only so much more you can really do if you're some of these conferences. There's not enough teams still left to just continue bouncing around. So, kudos to the American, like I said, for filling their spots and, probably add enough teams to where if they do lose a couple more in some new phase of realignment, like a wave 2 from the Big 12, that they're not having to replace 6 or 7 again. They'd have to maybe make 1 or 2 moves.
Well, you can see the strategy is clearly these are cities, Charlotte, Houston, San Antonio, Birmingham, big cities, big population centers, dense population centers, sports-friendly population centers. While those teams might not necessarily move the needle in each one of them, they're still big population centers that have potential to grow.
Caden, Southern Miss and Marshall did not get into the AAC because their local urban population was so small. Note that the 6 invited into the AAC are all major urban areas, but they may still get in. And that's kind of, in a way, we've seen what, in fact, some of the Big 12 teams have looked at. Not only with Brigham Young and the fact that they're really good, but UCF Orlando, Cincinnati, which is Ohio, and then also Houston being the city of Houston, plus what also comes from, Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, and Brigham Young. I mentioned Brigham Young. So now some of the schools that were accepted have really struggled in football. A lot. They've really, really struggled a lot in football. But it's about adding, remember, I mentioned this yesterday as well. Sometimes don't forget, no matter where you are, eyeballs, cities, it's about live content when you want to have whatever particular TV contract that you have going forward or an extension as well. We will hear from Ren Baker. He's the AD at University of North Texas. Taylor Bryan, who used to be, of course, sports information, athletic communications for football at Baylor and Auburn before that, set that up. We'll have Ren Baker today at around 3:15. UNT is a huge school, 42,000 students. It's a Carnegie-ranked Tier 1 public research institute. Athletically, they've had success. We know their basketball coach, Grant McCaslin. They had a good run, a great run, getting into the tournament this year as well. But, again, it's good. And it's like one of those things. When Texas and Oklahoma left, their Big 12's done. No, they're not. And then they've been able to make their. Now, is it as good? I don't know. That remains to be seen. Some people think it maybe the 800-pound gorillas are gone. But then there was the AAC that thought maybe they were next in line, and then that didn't happen because they lost teams. I don't want the American Conference to go defunct. I don't want the Conference USA to. I want all of them to try to thrive, however they possibly can.
Well, I think the goal in college athletics should be to grow. And look, the SEC, that's their goal, is to grow. The Big 12 didn't have that, mission statement for a long time about growing and getting better. It was kind of, let's do everything we can to try to keep it how we think it should be and not how it is. So the goal should be to grow. And we've talked ad nauseum about, college sports elitism and how it hurts everything else. Well, I think these expanding conferences and moving up and people moving around, ultimately, there will be some people who suffer from it, and hopefully it's a few minor instances. But I think if you really intend to grow college athletics, then this is a good thing. But you have to really intend to grow it and not try to create just a new fraternity that people can't get into.
What's the next move? Is it the Big 12 adding Chapter 2? Is that the next move we have here? Because I think the SEC is fine right now. They're very fine. The Big 10, I know there was always the scuttle about maybe a team or 2 or 4 or whatever from the Pac-12.
The next move is going to have to be the Conference USA figuring out what they're going to do because they don't have any teams left. Hardly. They do 6 schools today, right? 6 schools. So, that's – the Big 12 lost 2, and it was like the world was ending. Now, granted, OU and Texas are like the equivalent of like 100 of these schools in terms of money and all that, and that's not a knock. It's just, what it is. True. But, they had to go and, find 6 schools. They grabbed 6 from Conference USA, so you're looking at, what do you do?
They have 8 left. If this all ends up happening in the summer of 23.
Yeah, I'm talking about 6 Conference USA schools that look like they're leaving, and then there's a rumor about 3 more of them that would be on the move as well. So I'm saying if like the whole thing happens where like 9 end up departing, then they're they're going to have to be on the search for some teams. And, I saw where was it? James Madison and Liberty have been talked about as potential additions for Conference USA. So, that may be the direction they go. But, when you start talking about, like, getting down to James Madison, I know they're a successful program and whatnot, but, like, you really are – like you're scraping at that point. It's not bottom of the barrel in terms of the product, because James Madison's got a good product, but in terms of size and, stature and TV ratings and things like that, yeah, you're starting to get kind of low on the totem pole here. So, yeah, I'm curious to see, if the rumors about another 3 leaving and, then subsequently James Madison and Liberty come in, what that all looks like. It's a lot. Like, we really need like a chart. Like, I'm trying to do it in my head a little bit, and I started writing it down like an arrow this way from Conference USA to the American, and then like an arrow from the American to the Big 12, and an arrow from, this conference to that conference. But, good for the American, and, good for everybody that's covering their backs, but there's still a lot more movement to go.
From the 440, the text line, and that number is 254-339-1122, 254-339-1122. As a minor UAB fan, mostly because my brother is an alum at UAB, I'm happy with the move. Who does Conference USA grab now, and does this start a domino effect after the Sun Belt and then even to the FCS level? And that's a possibility. And Craig just mentioned James Madison and Liberty, and there's a couple of others out there as well.
Think about the schools like Tarleton who just moved into another conference and are moving. I mean, do you have to, if you're a school that just moved up but aren't ready to move up to the next level, do you have to think about moving to the next level already?
You're talking about in Division, is Tarleton a part of the new Mountain West? Are they?
I don't know anything about Tarleton, I'll be honest with you. I've not kept track of Tarleton.
But I'm talking about the Mountain West, like Tarleton moved in, and there are all these other schools that were going to move in the future to a new conference, and they're smaller schools, but they're making that move. So now as the part of the domino effect, like if you just moved into a conference, you have to go, well, what's my next conference?
Yeah, no, I know. It's like you move into a neighborhood and all of a sudden it's so transient. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's very much still. But since Texas and Oklahoma left, doing what they want to do, you've had the Big 12 then get an independent, a powerful independent in Brigham Young, and then go to the American Conference.
They join the WAC.
They're not the WAC. They're not done with that. It appears that there could be 3 more from the AAC that are a part of that mix, maybe, and along with what Boise State, and of course Boise State's a part of a different conference. So this is, it's a domino effect.
Here's from Brett McMurphy, because he, like I said, it's hard to kind of track without like seeing, what direction everybody's going. But the couple of scenarios that are out there right now, as far as the next movement, because the American officially added the teams that you mentioned: Charlotte, FAU, Rice, UAB, UTSA, and North Texas. So that's done. So now it's about the Sun Belt and Conference USA. And here's the 2 scenarios that are being rumored and bandied about. The Sun Belt would add Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss. So Conference USA would lose those 3 schools, and they would join the Sun Belt along with James Madison. That's one scenario. So Marshall, ODU, Southern Miss, and James Madison all go to the Sun Belt. Conference USA would be pretty screwed at that point. I mean, they'd be pretty low on numbers, but the Sun Belt would be a 14-team league, and then you'd move around the divisions. So if that happens, Conference USA will be down 9 of its members. Of its 14 members, they'd have 3 going to the Sun Belt, 6 going to the American, and they'd be left with FIU, La Tech, Middle Tennessee, UTEP, and Western Kentucky. You have to have 6 to compete at the FBS, so they have to add somebody in that scenario if this, were to go through like it looks like it's going to go through. And so then there would be Liberty right at the top of your list. And, then potentially it starts to get interesting as far as, like, are you looking at, like, New Mexico schools? Or, what are you doing from there? Are you adding some independents? So, another scenario that he put out there is Conference USA is able to keep Marshall and Old Dominion and then adds Liberty and James Madison. And that would probably be the best-case scenario. But they're still looking at losing. Yeah, it's just like it's all kind of up in the air right now still.
So the American Conference made their decision. American Athletic Conference made their decision official today. We've kind of heard about it for a few weeks, but also the last couple of days in particular. Ren Baker, athletic director at the University of North Texas in Denton, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Ren, what does this mean for North Texas today?
Well, it's a great opportunity for us to continue our growth and trajectory, not only athletically but also academically. As you guys know, UNT is one of the fastest growing universities in the country, and we currently sit at 42,000 students, and we've had a lot of success the last few years in our athletic program. So this will give us a bigger brand presence, certainly more exposure with the TV package the American has, and allow us to continue to grow and flourish. So we're very, very excited about the opportunity.
Ren, we were just talking about the kind of the domino effect of all of this, and how, at least in my opinion, this seems to be kind of a pushback against some of the elitism that we see in college athletics, where there was a club and no one else could be in it. Now there's things like the 12-team playoff in college football that's on the table, and teams are expanding. Do you see this as a true attempt to make college athletics grow, as opposed to let's make sure it grows, but just for the ones that everybody's heard of and knows about?
Well, I certainly hope that it is. I mean, if you ask me, the most special championship event in all of college athletics is the NCAA basketball tournament. And it's because of those stories like the one we participated in last year, with a chance to go into Indianapolis with Coach McCaslin leading our basketball program, a proud Baylor alum, and beating Purdue, and the awareness that gave our university, here in the Metroplex, was huge for us. But I think everybody loves rooting for the schools that are having to fight their way up. Maybe they don't have the most resources or tradition or those things, and so. The more opportunities that we can give young people, the more access that we can give young people to have an elite championship experience, that should be what college athletics is about. And, I know that money drives a lot of decisions, but at the end of the day, what should be the most important is giving young people opportunities.
Ren, I think everybody was geared up for this, football season and everything kind of getting back to quote-unquote normal. And then there was that week after Big 12 Media Days where the bomb was dropped out of College Station on Oklahoma and Texas leaving. And subsequently there's been shockwaves, and that's part of why we're talking to you today. So I was just curious, from your standpoint, where were you when you first heard the news about Texas and OU? And did you sense at the time the magnification or the effect that would have across college football here over the last few months?
Well, I had just dating back a few months, with everything we went through with COVID and all of that, and the financial ramifications, and trying to balance budgets and trying to play games safely. It had been a long time since I'd had any kind of a break, and so I've got a wife and then two young daughters, 10 and 7, and my wife had been really pressing me, and they had been really pressing me to get them away for a few days. So in my infinite wisdom, I looked at the calendar and said, hey, man, the last week of July looks like a great time to get away, and there'll be nothing going on. And so I know exactly where I was. I was in Seaside, Florida, and I spent most of that week on the phone. My president actually picked that week to take vacation too. He was on a lake in Arkansas, and so I'm sure both of us made our spouses pretty unhappy with the amount of time we were on the phone trying to unpack everything. But I didn't know exactly how the dominoes would fall, but I knew that this would have a trickle down effect. It always has when there's been major shifts in college athletics. And so, we're very fortunate that that ended up giving us an opportunity that we feel like will be very beneficial for the university. And we're also, as somebody who grew up in Oklahoma and worked at Oklahoma State, and Mac Rhodes is a very dear friend and mentor. I'm also excited to see the Big 12 get some great programs to bring in. I think that league will stabilize. Those programs will be elevated by being in the conference. And, I think a lot of us were a little worried about the Big 12 there for a little bit. And so I'm really relieved to see them have some stability and be set for the future.
Has there been discussion with the American Athletic Conference that the Big 12 may not be done? And you probably have seen or heard, possibly, even we have ourselves discussed it, that there might be other teams on their radar. Has that been discussed as you guys are expanding into that conference?
Well, as we've went into the conference, we have not had discussions with our colleagues in the conference about that yet. But certainly I've had discussions with other people. And, I think at the end of the day, the Big 12 possible expansion will probably hinge on does it make sense from a TV perspective, and do any of the other leagues make any moves or do anything any different? But I think if you're going to be a leader in college athletics, you have to be prepared that the only thing that remains the same is everything changes. And so, I think we'll be going in with our eyes wide open, but our focus, since I've been here in 2016, realignment and conference affiliation comes up a lot. And I always have said consistently the same thing. We can't control if there's movement, if there's opportunities, if we get invited. All we can control is to be the best that we can be. And if we're the best that we can be at North Texas, that's good for our institution. That's good for the conference that we're in. And that will afford us those opportunities. And so that's been our approach. And I think that's the way we'll have to approach it in the future. And, you just have to be ready that things could shift or change.
Obviously, the last 2 years in college athletics has been a lot of if emergency, break glass kind of thinking with COVID. And then now you've got conference realignment. Do you have to maybe, as athletic departments now, always kind of be on the lookout for things you didn't think that you would have to do that day?
Well, my deputy AD is Jared Mosley, who you guys may know. Jared, he was over the Hall of Fame there in Waco and has done a great job for us, former AD at Abilene Christian. But I've told him a couple of times, it seems like it's been 2 years since I did any part of this job that I enjoy, which is going and being around the kids and coaches. All we've done is manage seismic shifts and crisis for some time here. But, I think that's what college athletics is right now. We're not going through significant change and paradigm shifts, with the Constitution rewrite, with the Supreme Court case decision, with name, image, and likeness. There is a monumental shift in college athletics, and we're all going to have to work through it and get through it together. And I would imagine that's still going to be a 2 to 3 year process as we figure out what college athletics is going to look like in the future. But, all jokes aside, my family, I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma. My dad, my uncle, my grandfather all worked at a paper mill there in the town I grew up. And so I worked there in the summers to help pay my way through college. And I still say, even though some of these days have been very stressful, the worst day that I ever had in college athletics was better than my best day working in the paper mill. So we're blessed to be around young people and get a chance to see them grow, get a chance to see them get degrees and life-changing experiences, and and learn from disappointments and setbacks, and learn from success. So I think we're going to have to really focus in on what our mission is and what our calling is over the next 2 to 3 years, because there's going to be some more stressful times as we try and figure out what the future looks like.
Taylor Bryan is one of the best in the business. Taylor Young, former Baylor linebacker. Jared Mosley, who was here, as you mentioned, the Hall of Fame. Grant McCaslin, Jim Gush. Is the one you regret, though, Phil Bennett? Is that the one? Because I'm just kidding. We love Phil Bennett. He used to do a weekly show with us. But these are all part of the North Texas Athletic Department right now. How cool is that combination?
It's awesome. And I tell you what, Coach Bennett has been just really great to have around. Not only is he a great football coach, but just a tremendous person. And so he's one of those people, you stop by his office and you're going to talk for 15, 20 minutes. And he's a great storyteller and a great conversationalist. And we've had a lot of conversations about Texas and football and MAC, and he knows, Phil knows everybody. He's been around so long. And we're glad to have those guys. Taylor's been a great addition. Obviously, Grant McCaslin has been tremendous. And, so I think that those connections that we have with former Baylor alums and people that worked at Baylor have been very positive for us. So, we'll just try and continue to raid people from Mac Roads. I don't mind to take people from him sometimes, aggravate him a little bit.
Well, Rand, we were just going to tell you. I mean, we were being nice about it there, but stop taking all our friends, man.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
yeah, there's some good. Every one of those guys are great people.
Yeah, I mean, Mac, I figure he'll call me pretty soon and remind me that there are people that work in college athletics that aren't at Baylor. So, he doesn't hesitate to let me know when I'm stepping out of line.
Ren, what was the response, or what has been the response? I know it's only been a few hours here, but what have you been able to tell as best you can from the North Texas fan base about this move?
They're very excited. I think this is really this is the best conference and the best, when you talk about the American, I mean, not only will financially it be a benefit for us, but the bigger thing, as I mentioned, is exposure. We've never had an opportunity to have, be in a league that has, I think the American has over 100 games a year between football and basketball on linear TV, whether that's one of the ESPN networks or ABC. And so, in Conference USA, no fault really of our leadership or anything, but our games have kind of been hard to find. Our rights are split up a variety of ways. And so I think our fans very excited. They were convinced. I think some of them weren't convinced it was going to happen. I mean, even in the last 2 or 3 days, I had lots of emails. Are you sure SMU's not going to block us? And all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't respond to those, but we've had a lot of conversations with the league, of course, leading up to this, and a lot of conversations. SMU has been great. And even though that's an intense rivalry between our fans and the institutions, we got a lot of respect for President Turner and Rick Hart, my colleague there. And so we're excited to be, in a league with SMU, but also to be in a league where we bring 2 of our Texas sister institutions in Conference USA in with us. So that gives us some natural rivalries and some easy trips for fans to make. And then Tulsa is an easy trip for us, and Wichita State will be a great trip, a great opponent and trip for us in sports other than football. I know Coach McCaslin's excited to be able to play Wichita State. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us. I'll get a chance to go back to Memphis occasionally. Anywhere I've ever been, if you guys meet me, you'll see pretty quickly I have a strong commitment to eating. And so I was in the American. I get to go to all these places where I already have my favorite restaurant picked out. So it's great all the way around, and I know our fans are really excited.
If you don't mind, and I'm not trying to get you to put words in your mouth, but Memphis's name has been out there as a possible school that could move in to another Power 5 conference or to a Power 5 conference. In fact, the Big 12. You were there. How much would that mean to that fan base if that happens?
Well, I would rank them second behind North Texas.
Okay.
In terms of who you guys should be looking at.
Okay.
I'd say that. No, listen. Memphis is an awesome place. People don't realize, for the size of its market, Memphis has more full-time radio stations devoted to sports talk radio than any other city in the country. It is a sports-loving city, and it's a city that loves the Tigers. It's really one of those places where the majority of our donors and season ticket holders and alums, I don't even think are necessarily graduates. It's just the university means a lot to the city and represents a lot to the city. So I think if they were given the opportunity at some point, it would take a program with a rich history and tradition and excite and energize it even more. And I loved my time in Memphis. I mentioned I was from a small town, Oklahoma. So was my wife, and we had never lived in a city with more than 20,000 people before we moved to Memphis, and we loved it. We fell in love with it, and we still try to go back and visit occasionally. And so what a great program and a special tradition. That basketball program, I don't think there's any more passionate basketball fans anywhere in the country than there is in Memphis.
One more thing. You mentioned Mac, and he had mentioned you, I think, one of the last couple of times when he's on with us almost weekly. You were there at Missouri with him. He left for Baylor. You were then interim, and then it went to North Texas. It was not it was a difficult time at Missouri as well. What did you learn working under Mac Rhoades and with and for him as well?
Well, Mac is one of my dearest friends, He's like a brother to me, although I tell him he's like a father to me, to just give him some jokes about his age. But he and I went through, that period in Missouri at no fault of Max was one of the most tumultuous, in athletics history there and probably anywhere. And Mac did a tremendous job of keeping everybody together, of leading us through it, of communicating to all the constituents during that time. And it was a really difficult time. And, I know Mac, it wasn't an easy decision for him to leave, because I think he wanted to kind of continue to see them through that time. But he and his family loved Texas, and I think he felt, a calling as a man of faith and as a leader to come to Baylor. And what a remarkable job he's done leading Baylor back to national prominence, after the things that happened there. And so I think Max, one of, if not the best athletic director in the country, and Baylor's lucky to have him. And I'm fortunate to not only consider him a mentor, but a very, very, very dear friend.
Rand, it's a big day. It's interesting because you have what we've mentioned with possibly SMU, and where now North Texas is. And as you mentioned, other schools in Houston now, a part of the Big 12, and all this. And back in late July, we didn't know how it was going to end up. There's still going to be more dominoes. We appreciate you being a part of the show and giving us your perspective from Denton and also the University of North Texas. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate being on. And listen, I haven't been on before, but I know both of you by name because Grant talks about you. My friend Kevin Gall talks about you. Mac, Jeremiah Dickey. We have all these common friends. And so Taylor as well. I know he went to his office to listen. He wanted to make sure I wasn't late getting on the call. So we're glad to be on, and I'm glad to talk to you. And hopefully we'll get a chance to play more games against each other. I know Scott and Grant don't want to play each other because they're like family, but maybe we can twist their arms and get them to do that sometime. But we definitely have a lot of respect for Baylor, the people there, and the success they've had, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
By the way, has Taylor made anything for you and brought it to the office in that brand new Traeger that he bought? Do you know about that?
Yeah, he and Mosley talk about these Traeger grills all the time. I'm wondering how much stock they may own in them. No, he has not made anything for me. So, both of them take great pride in their smoking ability and their food preparation, and I take great pride in being able to go to my Uber Eats app and have it delivered.
Well, that's interesting.
So we're on different spectrums there. I'm not trying to spend all day Saturday smoking meat. I want to be in the pool having a good time and just have it all delivered.
Absolutely. Hey, Ren, thank you, man. Appreciate everything in the time you gave us today. Good luck going forward.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Ren Baker, the Director of Athletics at the University of North Texas. They're a part of that group that added to the American Athletic Conference effective 2023, which is kind of really a timeline in that June-July timeline where really so many things might become formed, from what the Big 12 will look like to what the SEC might look like to what other conferences, including the American Athletic Conference, might look like. And there's still more to come as well. All right, when we come back, more about today's news with the American Athletic Conference, but also how many unbeaten teams are left in college football, and one of them went down last night. Also, Adam Rittenberg from ESPN, Max Olson at 4 from theathletic.com, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio. I received this text. It was actually a direct message, I think, on Twitter from D. Carter. He's been listening to this show from the time we opened it up back in April of 2020. Smokey, I called Waco Pickup Outfitters and asked for advice on what to do with the bed of my 1972 Chevy pickup truck. My truck is all original. And in talking through with the fellow on the phone who called me back, he advised I do not need a spray-in liner. Actually, turned down the work. Provided great advice for what I should do. And then, of course, I told him that I will be driving from the Woodlands to Waco to have that work done by Pickup Outfitters on my 1972 Chevrolet pickup truck, and I've seen a picture of it from D. Carter. It's amazing. So that's awesome that you, as a listener, were able to contact one of our great sponsors and ask them for work and then what they said to you. I passed that text along or message along to Jay Arrett, and he was thrilled. And, of course, we'll always have more from Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive and CreateACommotion.com.
The beautiful, rugged, elegant third-row seat Jeep Grand Cherokee L is in stock at Allen Samuels. This prestigious Jeep heritage is obvious in the Grand Cherokee L. First responders, we're offering an extra $500 cash for you. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited has total values of $3,500 or 0% for 72 months going on now. Jeep Adventure Days at Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey guys, sports betting season is in full force with football season entrenched and the NBA and NHL underway and the Major League Baseball playoffs. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity like BetUS.com. BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That's BetUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses like ours at BetUS.com. 125% bonus on promo code SICK'EM125 or a 200% bonus if you use crypto on promo code SICK'EM200. BetUS, known as America's favorite sportsbook. NFL, college football, MLB, UFC, PGA golf, they've got it all at BetUS.com. So go to BetUS.com today and use promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200. That's BetUS.com, promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfect pizza. Bob Mock has owned Marco's Pizza franchises since 2013 and has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in the Waco area, in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Order at marcos.com to make any moment better. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. a hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
3:38 is the time. Adam Rittenberg of ESPN.com covers college football like a blanket. Joins us on Second 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Adam, so many different places and stories and topics to get to. We just had Ren Baker at University of North Texas. Of course, expansion, changes continue, and it's not going to stop at all. What are your thoughts about what Bob Bowlesby in the Big 12 have been able to do, and they want more after what?
Hey, guys, I got a really bad connection.
Okay.
You guys mind just calling me right back?
Yeah, we'll call you right back. Okay, Adam Rittenberg will join us from ESPN.com here momentarily. I'm going to ask him about where the Big 12 is and what they've done, and also the fact that they want more. And then we'll get into the American and others who, of course, have been doing what they've been doing as well. In the studio today, Hayden Bumpus, Armstrong Sims, and also Jack McKenzie, now rejoined by Adam Rittenberg. Better, Adam?
Better. Gotcha.
All right. What are your thoughts about where the Big 12 is now with the 4 that they got and they want more, and where they were in late July and what they've actually accomplished in about 2 months or so?
Yeah, I think it's, under the circumstances, it's about as well as they could have done. I think they added some schools that a lot of us considered, either Power 5 already or borderline Power 5 schools, schools that have had success in football, that have, in some cases, really large fan bases, and I think will help offset, what are, big losses. And Bob Bowlesby has said that from the start. Losing Oklahoma and Texas, you can't sugarcoat what that means for the Big 12. But the key is, can you offset it with the BYUs and the Cincinnatis and the UCFs and Houston, certainly. I think it's possible to at least help that process a little bit. We're going to find out more in the coming years as far as how that affects the upcoming television deals and so forth. But I think, again, they were put in a very difficult position, in a very surprising way, at least to them. And I think they've responded about as well as they could have.
Adam, how do you think that even all the conference realignment, whether it's the Big 12, the AAC, what's ever going to come down with the Conference USA, Sun Belt, whatever, affects the 12-team playoff and the expediency to get that done?
Well, yeah, I think I don't know if the kind of residual realignment moves that are happening now have great impact on the playoff, because it seems like, at least at the Power 5 level, that things have settled down, unless, to your first question, the Big 12 makes a second move here in expansion. But if you know what the Big 12 is, it seems like the 3 leagues in the alliance, the Big 10, ACC, Pac-12, have decided to stay in their current models, and then the SEC is at 16. So unless there's something else that's coming, I don't know if it will affect realignment, but the fact that it happened seemed to slow down the process. And there seemed to be a feeling like, hey, we can't go ahead and just push this through, especially given who has been pushing mostly for it, which is the SEC, and everything that happened in terms of adding Texas and Oklahoma. So I think there's still some things to be worked out. I understand the frustration. I've kind of gone back and forth on the 12-team playoff. I'm not as gung-ho about it as some people are, but I also see the value, and I do think it's probably where this thing lands. But I also understand why others are a little hesitant, especially given the way the contracts are as well, to maybe get out of this initial agreement of what was it, 12 years, and then move forward with a completely new playoff and a completely new media rights agreement for it going forward.
Adam, what do you think of the new American Conference? You have ECU and Memphis and Navy and USF, all those that are sticking around, although a couple have been rumored for Big 12 membership maybe in the future. But now you add Rice, UTSA, North Texas, FAU, Charlotte. What do you think of those teams in the new American Conference?
Right. Well, I think it's very clear that they went with schools in urban markets, and in some ways this is sort of the old school approach to expansion, because that when the Big Ten added Maryland and Rutgers, it wasn't because they're Maryland and Rutgers, it's because they're close enough to the New York and Washington, D.C. markets. And I think that's the hope here, is that those schools, in some cases, they're very new schools with new programs. Can they continue to mature and develop and create a real following? There's certainly great momentum now at a school like UTSA, whereas a few years ago, North Texas was that school that we were all buzzing about. Now North Texas is struggling. I'm really curious what this can do for a program like Rice, which has had one of the longer traditions of the new members, at least in football, but has obviously struggled here in recent years and hasn't made much of a dent as far as the Houston market. So curious to see if this move can help Rice and some of those other members as well.
So your thoughts about where we are? Is Georgia that much better than everybody else right now?
Well, it certainly looks like it on defense. Now, I think they have to be challenged a little bit more, with better offenses, and they should be, at least if they get to the SEC championship game against an Alabama or someone like that. I mean, I think they get Tennessee in a few weeks. Tennessee, if healthy, has shown that it can score points, and Josh Heupel's done a nice job with Hendon Hooker and getting improvement out of that Tennessee offense. Maybe we'll get a better sense of where Georgia is defensively, but they have been outstanding, and they've been good enough on offense to complement what looks to be one of the historically great defenses in recent years. I just want to see them play better offenses. I mean, it's been Kentucky, not a great offense. Clemson, clearly a bad offense. Florida will be interesting in a couple of weeks if Florida can challenge the Dogs. Otherwise, they're going to just keep rolling through these opponents.
We're talking to Adam Rittenberg, college football writer for ESPN.com.
Adam, do you think Cincinnati has to keep at their current pace to get into the 4?
I think it certainly helps when you're in that position to be dominant in victory and to look like a complete team like they have the last few weeks. What happens outside of Cincinnati obviously isn't in their control. But I think there's been some positive things in recent weeks in their favor while they've continued to win. Alabama losing, a positive. Iowa losing, a huge positive. Oregon losing, maybe the biggest positive of all because it pushes them closer to being out of the playoffs. I think Oklahoma, if they had lost, it really would have been perfect for Cincinnati in their setup, even though we know either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State is going to lose a game. We may see Oklahoma State lose this week to Iowa State. So Cincinnati, all they can do is continue to win dominantly. Their conference is not going to help them a ton, but SMU is ranked. Houston's playing really well. And then Notre Dame, if they want to keep rooting for Notre Dame, they get USC this week, a game that I'll be covering. They get North Carolina and a pretty winnable schedule the rest of the way. So Notre Dame, even if they're not that good of a team, which I don't believe they are, if they can finish 10-2, 11-1, that's going to help Cincinnati's resume.
Adam, what is your belief level, or how has your belief level risen with Caleb Williams and the switch at quarterback for the Sooners? They obviously have looked like a different team these last couple of weeks, although, still some questions defensively and whatnot, but that offense is back.
It is. And, I was as down on Oklahoma as any one on Twitter or media-wise, at least that I could say. I was just ready for them to lose. I wanted to stop talking about them as a playoff contender. But you're right. They have looked different on offense. Since they made that switch, they're making those big plays. They're scoring the ball with ease. But then, like you also mentioned, the defense hasn't looked as sharp as it did earlier this season. So, are they still a playoff contender? Sure. Are they one of the weaker playoff contenders? Absolutely. But that quarterback gives them a chance because, Lincoln Riley's still one of the absolutely elite quarterback coaches and play callers. And if they can just improve a little bit on defense, they do have a chance to run the table. They still have some tough opponents left. They have Baylor, they have Oklahoma State, they have Iowa State. So it's going to be a tough road to run the table, and then obviously the Big 12 championship. But they have to feel better about their chances now.
You had a story, I believe it was you, that had the story out about college football coaches and where they are and who's done this and that. And Dave Aranda, of course, is getting a lot of attention, as he should, at 6-1. Your thoughts about Aranda and 6-1 at Baylor?
Yeah, he's just done a great job. And as you guys know better than anyone, there was nothing normal about that season last year for Dave and for Baylor and how much COVID affected them seemingly from the summer all the way until the end of the season. And so, I think this has been a normal year of evaluation, and he's looked a lot better as the head coach. I think he made a great move in bringing in Jeff Grimes from BYU to coordinate the offense, and they're much more explosive. They're much more consistent on that side of the ball. So, I think Baylor fans should be really excited. And even regarding the Dave's connection to LSU and even being a Southern California guy, I don't sense that he's on his way out. I think he's going to be at Baylor for the at least the immediate future, and that's good news because the guy, he's really one of the smartest coaches, and you guys know this. Whenever I talk to Dave, I learn something about college football or just learn something about football in general, and I think he's really doing a nice job with as now the overseer of the program and handling a pretty difficult schedule well so far.
No doubt. Hey, Adam, what do you think of that LSU job? I mean, obviously Edo's going to coach out the rest of the year, but this was always kind of there. Even entering the season, we kind of felt like, hey, there's you just got to keep an eye on Baton Rouge, and sure enough, here we are. So your thoughts on them actually pulling the trigger and Edo finishing out this season, and then obviously what will be, along with USC and who knows who else, a pretty big coaching search.
Yeah, we have 2 Tier 1 jobs that are open right now. I mean, LSU was going to open, when it did, certainly was a surprise, but after the loss to Kentucky and just how non-competitive they were, I think there was an expectation from people I talked to that it was just a matter of when, not if. Even though they're only 2 years removed from that national championship. And so, Scott Woodward, as you guys know, has a very clear reputation. He hires big names, and he goes after the top coaches. And so, Jimbo Fisher obviously has had a denial so far. So is Dabo Swinney as far as their interest in the job. But I don't think Scott Woodward's going to be standing up there introducing the next coach, and we're all going to have to Google that name. I think we're going to know exactly who it is. Whether it's a James Franklin or a Lane Kiffin or a Mark Stoops or whoever. I think it's going to be a very recognizable coach who can handle that environment, hopefully, and obviously all the recruiting and the pressure that goes along with it. But Scott Woodward doesn't hire anonymous coaches; he hires big names. And I think he certainly wants to do that now at LSU.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate your time. I know you've got something you got to get to. We appreciate your time when you were available. Adam Rittenberg, ESPN.com, college football writer, and a lot of notes, tons of notes on his timeline on Adam Rittenberg at ESPN. One quick note, a college football note, with Coastal Carolina getting knocked out by Appalachian State, and that's their first win against the top 25 team, I think it was, since Michigan, back when they had that blocked field goal to end the game in front of 100 million people inside their stadium.
I still remember exactly where I was with that App State-Michigan game. I was at my aunt and uncle's house, woke up on a Saturday morning on the couch, and just turned on college football, and here was App State and Michigan, and I'm thinking, like, this isn't going to be a game, and sure enough, I ended up going crazy by the end of it, rooting for App State to pull off the big victory, and sure enough, they did, and yeah, that still sticks with me.
Kicked a field goal with no time left last night. Also, now 9 teams, 10 unbeaten. Wake Forest, Michigan and Michigan State, they play each other. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, they play each other. Georgia, Cincinnati and SMU, they play each other. UT San Antonio, we had Jeff Traylor yesterday, and then San Diego State just kind of continues to do what they're doing as well. When we come back, we'll wrap up this hour. You keep going, Paul.
No, why don't we keep going for 4 minutes?
All right, Craig.
Get to Mac.
You were going to add anything to that?
Yeah, just unbeaten Wake Forest, just like we all expected, yeah.
Of all those teams, I would not have expected Wake Forest. I would not have expected Michigan or Michigan State to be unbeaten. And then again, they're starting to play the buzzsaw of their division schedule with Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, among others as well. And then Oklahoma State, I think, is a surprise. Now, who would they have lost to? Almost lost to Boise State. They didn't. They won the game. Baylor gave them something, but they took that to Baylor very quickly. Went to Texas and won as well. Oklahoma was playing with fire at home, what they think is home, the Cotton Bowl against Texas. And then we know about the opening game with Tulane. Cincinnati and SMU, probably not a surprise, although SMU's had to have the Hail Mary to keep their thing unbeaten. And UT San Antonio with Jeff Traylor, I think even they felt pretty good, but they had the rally again from way back to beat Memphis. So of those teams, about 6 of them out of the 10 could absolutely have a loss on their schedule. And when it's all said and done, how many of those 10 will be unbeaten after the regular season?
Probably 1 or 2.
Georgia?
Well, I mean, half of them are going to get wiped out by playing each other.
I mean, honestly, at most 1 or 2.
UT San Antonio?
I mean, yeah, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State have to play each other. Michigan State have to play each other.
Along with
Cincinnati, SMU got to play each
yeah.
other. I mean, so there's 3 right there that are not going to be unbeaten out of the, 10? So there's 7 left. And, I'd say there's probably going to be, maybe 2 or 3. Yeah, maybe probably 2.
Okay.
I mean, I could see it with UTSA. I could see it with either Cincinnati or SMU. So those 2 I could see. I don't know San Diego State's schedule off the top of my head. And then one of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State I could see. So, yeah, like 3. Yeah, 3 on average 3. 3 unbeatens when it's all said and done.
I just know that, and every year we have the same panic attack, like, when there's 7 unbeaten teams. All right, listen, when there's 7 unbeaten teams, let's all just, throw a party.
Yeah.
Because that's the true chaos. It's never going to happen because too many people play each other.
Yeah,
And
there's always that. Well, what if all 7 teams? And it never happens.
If one team from every conference went okay, it's not going to happen. There's too much parity in college football now, and you're going to see more and more with the part of the reason you have to do a 12-team playoff is with the transfer portal more and more, your depth is gone, so you're going to lose some more games you shouldn't lose when you have kind of a rash of injuries because your depth is gone. So, yeah, some good teams are going to have 2 losses in a 12-team playoff. That's what's going to happen, and then maybe get healthy and win the national championship, and they don't have to use a term from here, they're not, or a story from here, they're not going to be able to go – Seth Russell to Jarrett Stidham just like that. They're not going to be able to, look, Justin Fields is just sitting here. They're not going to be able to do that. Justin Fields, kind of was part of that first wave of like, here's the real thing going on with the transfer portal. Yeah, if you've got a guy who's good enough to start somewhere else and make him wait, more than likely he's not going to wait.
All right, when we come back, the 4 o'clock hour includes Max Olson, theathletic.com. Also, we will have Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys at 4:30. I had a chance last night to interview the coach at Abilene High School when Abram Smith was there. He was the offensive coordinator, then the head coach, and he discusses Abram Smith back at high school and his recruiting story that ties into Philip Montgomery, Jeff Lebby, Joey McGuire, and many others. And that today we'll have at 5 o'clock.
I'll tell you what I'm interested in. The chat can help me out here because just off the top of my head, I can't think of it. But what's the equivalent of a UTSA going unbeaten so far in the playoff era? Because this isn't an American team that's unbeaten. Like, Houston's going to play spoiler.
Like, when Tulane, Tulane did it?
Did they go unbeaten?
Tulane went unbeaten under Tommy Bowden.
Bowden, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I can't think off the top of my head. I don't know for sure. It doesn't just like pop in my mind. So, yeah, I'm just curious because UTSA is an unbeaten. It would just be interesting to see kind of where they are viewed, as a Conference USA team. Because at least with the American, you had some of that, like, Houston's got some juice, or, Cincinnati's got some juice, obviously. The Americans gained some respect to where they are considered like that, sixth, P5, so to speak, type of a conference because of the successes they've had in the various teams from UCF to Houston to et cetera. Now, Cincy that have had big seasons and played spoilers. So, yeah, I'm just curious.
Tulane in 98 with Tommy Bowden.
98, wow.
Now, then I'm going to live. Marshall in 1999 went unbeaten. Utah, at the time, they were not a part of a Power 5. Boise State in 06.
Boise, yeah.
Boise State in 2009. UCF in 2017 with Scott Frost, and those are the ones from the last 25 or so years.
Yeah, so. and that hasn't happened other than what UCF in like 10 years.
Yeah. And the Arizona State unbeaten team in 75 with Frank Kush, they were starting to build something.
Were they in
there.
the pack then or no?
No, they were not. They were independent at the time as well. Arkansas State had an unbeaten team in 75 as well. Now, when we come back, Max Olson, theathletic.com, Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Still and Pipe, serving Texans since 1943. Objective to make sure that when you leave, you feel like you got everything that you wanted when it comes to attention, customer service, and of course, they want to make sure they build relationships with great product as well, and that's what they have. Metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel, heavy-duty product, structural standard. That's what they have, and they want to be where you want to go to get your product. If you're in construction, if you're a contractor, whatever you do, and if you, in fact, want to do a metal building or build one, they can help you with that and make sure that they get the right contractor in front of you, or at least some options so that things don't get, like stuck in the mud. So Pioneer Steel and Pipe with 2 locations, Waco and Bryan, building their brand new location off of Loop 340 in Waco. Open Saturdays 8 until noon if you need to get there, if you can't during the week. And if you can't during the week, you could always call them, be online. And if you know them well enough, they know what to send to you wherever your construction site might be or home as well, residential and commercial. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. I love saying that. PioneerBoys.com.
At long last, it's time for some college football. Bird Collision Ford proudly supports the Baylor Bears as they take the field this season. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Collision Ford. We have some great vehicles available this season as well, so come check out our winning lineup of new Fords. Let's cheer the Bears on to victory and celebrate by buying a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Buying made simple at BK Ford. Sic 'em Bears.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Masters of Barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
The thing about having a naked truck is that you get exposed for the equipment you don't have. Take, for example, your rear end. If you don't have anything back there, you're exposed about what you don't have, and that's a life. However, if you cover that rear end with a hitch, you're telling the world, hey, I got a little junk in my bed, and I'm ready to pull something. A camper, RV, boat, trailer, jet skis, heck, even a bike rack. A hitch says, I have a life beyond driving my truck to and from work. And Pickup Outfitters is the place to get a hitch for your truck, SUV, van, even some cars. We sell and install just about any kind of hitch you need. Receiver hitches from light to heavyweight to pull just about anything. And gooseneck hitches and fifth wheels when you're ready to pull the heavy stuff. And don't forget trailer and brake controller wiring. It's so important to have wiring professionally and correctly installed by the pros at Pickup Outfitters. So it's time to cover that gaping hole in the rear end of your truck with a hitch installed by Pickup Outfitters. Check us out online at createacommotion.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Play fake. Man wide open. Touchdown, Jeray Jenkins.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, we're doing start this 4 o'clock hour, joined by Max Olson, theathletic.com, joins us on Thursdays at this time. Max, thank you very much for your time. So the Athletic Conference has been, American Athletic Conference has grown, and yet they might still shrink before it's all said and done. The dominoes continue to fall. Your thoughts about what they've done?
Yeah, great for the Texas schools, right? I mean, that's exciting to see for those three to get to move up in the food chain here a little bit. The reason that this is a big move, and I'm sure there's probably some folks who maybe can't discern the differences between Group of 5 leagues, but you're moving up to the one that has the best TV deal, and probably even got overpaid a little bit on their last TV deal. So it's a good destination to end up in. And interesting move for the AAC. I know that they're going to keep saying they're the Power 6 league and all that. I don't know perception wise if that's the case, but I think it's once again these things have moved fast this year, and I think that over the next few years we're certainly not done.
Max, what did you think about Bob Bowlesby's comments about Texas and Oklahoma from Big 12 basketball media days?
I think Bob Bowlesby feeling betrayed by Texas and Oklahoma is not really like news this week. I mean, that's been the case ever since July. I think maybe this was noteworthy to people yesterday because he finally talked to the Austin American-Statesman and hadn't really been doing any interviews with the folks who cover Texas or Oklahoma here over these last few months. But, I think that as much as he would probably love to unload on those two schools and their leadership and all that, I do know it's, from everything I've been told, that I think they still have to be careful. I think they still have to, remember that these two schools are members of your league for who knows how long. And, you can't treat them like less than a member, because certainly they're looking for any reason to claim that, they have every right to get out of the Big 12 and not pay the full price and all that. So I know from an exit standpoint, really still in a standoff here, a staring contest. But certainly interesting anytime Bob Bowlesby goes on the record about those two.
Max, so going back to realignment for a second, what do you think happens to Conference USA? They appear to be, teetering a bit after the swath of schools left the American, and now there's talk about, what they might do or what the Sun Belt. It kind of seems like Conference USA and Sun Belt are now in a duel to grab the last remaining teams almost.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate position, and this is, look, as we saw with the Big 12, and throughout July and August, you got to be proactive. If you're not proactive, then you're getting poached. And so, I think that, the Conference USA tried to approach the AAC about, hey, can we do some sort of partnership or whatever? By then it was already too late. I think that the folks leading those conferences, certainly it makes sense to, be active right now. And I think that Mike Oresco had to do something to save face after losing three very valuable members and then being turned down by members of the Mountain West. So these are wild times. And I don't know what the future of Conference USA is that calling up, we're at 130 right now at the FBS level. So is that about calling up, more schools and expanding that beyond 130? I don't really know, but certainly they're in a tough spot here.
So now you have usually a mid-season All-American team. You have even a mid-season All-Freshman team. And now Max Olson comes up with a mid-season transfer portal team. Tanner Mordecai, who we've had on this show, we covered him in high school. Yep. Makes a lot of sense, obviously. But Grant Miller and Jacob Gall, a lot of people want to watch. How did Baylor's offensive line improve so much? And yes, Mateos and Grimes and others have a lot to do with that. But how about how they've hit on those two? And then Siaka Ika, is starting to play much better as well.
Yeah, definitely Apu was in the mix there, and I ranked him very high in our transfer portal 100 this summer. That haven't been disappointed by how he's played. I think the D-tackle on NC State's just been a little bit more productive here lately. But, now look, going through this process, quite honestly, when you're trying to put together an all-portal team, on the offensive line,
I mean, there's, I think maybe 15, 20 guys I looked at, period, across the country. Like it is very hard to find plug and play, starting offensive linemen and guys that can play, in the case of, Jacob Gall, moving up a level here a bit to go to a Power 5 school. Like, that's not guaranteed to work out. I think there's been a lot of schools that have, everyone's got O-line needs, and everyone's looking for great O-linemen in the portal. And Baylor found two really good ones, and we knew that about Jacob Gall. He was, PFF has graded him out really highly, in his last season at Buffalo, and he was even a second team midseason All-American for the Athletic, this week. But same thing with Miller. Like, great evaluation there, and also, just great coaching to take these guys and put them in the right spots and build that chemistry and look the way that, not just Baylor's offensive productivity, but then taking Gary Bohannon and for him to have, I think, 18 total touchdowns and 1 pick now. Like, I think that support that he's getting from his O-line was a big reason why I put both of them on the team there.
Max, knowing that Scott Woodward likes to go big game hunting, where do you see his sights being set on Ed Orgeron's replacement?
Yeah, I mean, probably, Belichick and Parcells, and I mean, how high can you go, right? I mean, I think that it's a great question. Our Bruce Feldman reported at the start of the week here that when they talk big game hunting, they mean trying to make a run at a guy like Dabo Swinney. Now, I think the difficult thing there is that Dabo Swinney and Jimbo Fisher have both kind of like, they have their kingdoms, right? They are at schools where these schools are going to do anything they say to be successful and to chase championships and stuff. And so, I don't know that either of them needs to walk away from a really good situation and into a place of LSU that's a little bit of a mess right now. But obviously you look at the recent history here, and if Les Miles and Ed Orgeron can win national championships at LSU, if all three of the last three head coaches won national championships, it tells you that in my opinion, that is a top 5 job, and they should swing for the fences. And I guess you never know who might be willing to take it. But I think that when you've got a head start like this, I wouldn't be surprised if they're chasing some really big folks and might miss on some, but who knows? It's one of the best jobs out there.
So, Max, the Big 12 started to take shape a little bit. There's a pocket of like 3 or 4 schools at the top that are in the mix. Baylor, Iowa State have losses, but the 2 Bedlam schools unbeaten. OU will remain that way this weekend, but Oklahoma State traveling to Ames to take on Iowa State. What are your thoughts on this matchup? I mean, it seems to be 2 quarterbacks who can be up and down, 2 great running backs, and 2 great defenses. They're kind of similar in a lot of ways, but what are your thoughts on Cyclones and Cowboys and Ames?
Yeah, well, did you guys see the line on that one?
Yeah.
Iowa State's a 7-point favorite at home against Oklahoma State. I mean, that tells you that there's some skepticism among the smart folks in Vegas about how real Oklahoma State is. And I think this is a hell of a game for this race. It really is. I think this is Iowa State's chance to get back into it. I think Iowa State's going to win. But with the way Oklahoma State has played defense, and you guys have seen it, it's going to take some really great scheming by Matt Campbell and his staff. They've got the players. We know Breece Hall can move the ball. We know Brock Purdy's playing better right now. And as we saw against Baylor, clearly, for Iowa State, you got to be good in all 3 phases, and then they just weren't against Baylor. But, I think that I like Iowa State in this game, but man, Oklahoma State, they're kind of a weird team to size up because you don't feel like, they're playing better. And defensively, I think that they have a chance to play with a lot of teams. But offensively, I don't know that I have that trust level. As good as Jaylen Warren has been to sort of balance out that offense, it feels like each week it comes down to, what are you getting from Spencer Sanders? Is he playing really well, or is he throwing it to the other team and putting them in tough spots?
Max, what's the latest on the episodes of As the Huskers Turn with Scott Frost?
Oh, it's a bye week, so it's time to start making excuses for the season and figuring out which assistants to fire and pin the blame on, and try to talk yourself into another year of Scott Frost, I suppose.
How you feeling on that, Smokey? You good with that?
No, I don't know. I don't know, man. I knew what they would do at Minnesota. I called it when I walked in the studio. I knew it would be like just an average, blase, whatever you want to. It was just ugh, and it's exactly what happened. And I'm tired of them playing dumb football, and I'm just tired of them. You just kind of know what's going to happen. I'm ready.
You go down the list here too. Okay, you go down that schedule. So they got Purdue next, which Purdue just showed out last week how good they could be when they're clicking. They've still got Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa. Like is that 4-8? How bad is it going to be? Is it 3-9? So I think that it's wild. It's wild. I don't know if they're heading to a change or not. I'm sure Trev Alberts wants every reason to not have to do it. But we'll just see how. Oh, you knew that the schedule was really tough in November, and that's why you had to beat Illinois and you had to beat Minnesota, and they whiffed on both of those. And so now probably not going to bowl game, and you're just trying to avoid embarrassment now because embarrassment is potentially what gets you fired.
Yeah,
they're done. I mean, there was a chance. Michigan,
he's right though, Max.
Michigan State,
I grew up watching Nebraska football, and it's maddening watching them now, and just the self-inflicted mistakes that you know that they're coming, right? You know that like as good of a position as they might be in, like something's going to happen to.
They have a chance to go take that drive down and score, and they take a safety on the first play, right?
Exactly.
My goodness, you can't make it up.
Yeah.
Miss a field goal. Kick a 51-yarder, miss an extra point.
It's just crazy.
Be faked out by Michigan State, who can't move the football on a punt return. It's dumb football.
Yeah, and you go play your butts off against Michigan, and then of course, Smokey, you and I know when they go line up against Minnesota, and Minnesota's not that good this year, but you're like, yep, this is going to be a close one.
Yeah, you knew it was going to happen.
They just don't know how to show up. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Max, what are your thoughts? We just had Jeff Traylor on, was that yesterday? Or the day before? Yesterday, I guess. UTSA 7-0, and they got La Tech, a little road trip coming up this weekend, but it seems like Jeff Traylor's a good candidate to maybe start getting some mentions, over the near future here for some jobs, but he's got San Antonio rocking right now. What are your thoughts on that program and the job he's done?
Oh yeah, love to see it. I mean, I think it's fantastic, and then of course, really big week this week for that whole athletic department. And what a cool deal. I mean, I think it's that was a really good hire. I mean, I think there's some of these guys like Jeff Traylor. They have the right connections throughout the state. There's a respect level in terms of everywhere they've been. He had the right experience in going to Texas, going to Arkansas, kind of figuring out what kind of players to go for at that program, and love what they're doing in terms of the culture, in terms of just the finding good players and figuring out how to be successful in that conference. And yeah, he's an interesting one when you talk about the job market. I mean, you look at it and you say, should he be the next coach of Texas Tech? Do guys like him hold out hoping maybe you can get a job like Houston someday? I mean, I do wonder, but he's certainly in the state of Texas there, continues to build a fantastic reputation, and really happy for that program that they've gotten it rolling here, because I think you knew it had some potential, and it didn't really happen under Frank Wilson. But man, what a great hire, and they're a fun team to watch.
They really, really are. Thanks for your time, Max. Appreciate it. Max Olson, theathletic.com with us, covers college football and some of the great stories and coaching searches, and he did the midseason transfer portal.
A little grab bag of stuff with him, on a variety. That's why college football is fun. It's not just the games. The games are a lot of fun, but it also is all the insanity of, the transfer portal and recruiting and coaching hot seats and,
I think
realignment.
I think Aaron Sorkin should do a show like The West Wing about college football.
Yeah.
We were talking about Aaron Sorkin earlier. He would crush it. I mean, there's so much other stuff behind the scenes. Yeah.
I'll tell you that I'm not always like a big cable TV watcher. I kind of just watch more movies and stuff like that. But that new FX series on Clinton and the whole Monica Lewinsky situation, actually saw it the other night. Really good, really good. And I could see. I could see maybe with college football, like kind of having that same sort of a deal, like a little mini series or something on realignment madness or whatnot. But yeah, there's certainly enough storylines. You just do LSU alone, we could have a whole mini series.
I checked. Sometimes I read the the comments on the top fives, and I had the one about Ed O. And the comments usually, sometimes are like, the three of you are idiots, would you shut up, or something like that, and I ignore those. But one of them just straight up sent me like stories about Ed O and the fact that there's rumors about him now bringing multiple girlfriends to practice and letting their kids call plays and stuff after the national championship. And I mean, that could be the LSU show right there.
Yeah.
Come on, son, I'm going to be your new daddy. Yeah. Call 32 Dive.
Yeah, well.
Someone suggested he's on game day. I wouldn't understand a word he's saying.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But
maybe like sporadically, but not as a full-time host. I think that would probably get a little grating after a while. Just for me, though.
Yeah. All right. So we continue at Sikkim 365 Radio at 365 Sports. The chat room has been going all over the place, from anything from the American Conference to who should be added. A couple of you have added, do you think that Memphis and Boise State will ever be a part of realignment? And those must be new, because we've been discussing Memphis and Boise State, quite frankly, since almost early September. And again, there's a lot of information about Memphis. We discussed that yesterday, if you want to go back and watch some of that. And I was on the phone today with a couple of people that work in Memphis radio that was brought up by Ren Baker as the number one overall number of talk radio shows, sports talk radio shows in that sports market. Not everybody's a fan of theirs, but I'm telling you right now, there's a lot to bring to the table as well.
To answer your question, though, Memphis is in the mix for a Big 12 spot in Wave 2 of realignment, along with who?
Say that again?
I said, to answer his question, Memphis is in a spot for realignment, the next wave, along with who? SMU?
SMU, Boise, Memphis, and and South Florida.
Yeah,
University of South Florida.
So, those are the four that are – we've been talking about, have been talked about, and could very well be a part of the mix in the not-so-distant future. To answer your question, Memphis is in the mix, but as he outlined yesterday and many other times, they have some things to do, some things to work on, whether it be the Liberty Bowl or just other things to take care of. And, I am curious to see, you were mentioning yesterday about how – this like it's an open invitation to join the Big 12. It's like you got to be ready to take it, and Memphis maybe wasn't ready to take it the first time around, and maybe not they will be for the second go-round. But if you're not ready for the second go-round, I don't know what you think the future is going to be, because I don't know how, unless just all hell breaks loose in 25, which is entirely possible, but you would need all the crazy rumors at the very beginning, you would need all those to come true to then, have enough realignment to occur to then maybe have yourself an opening to get back in to an invitation. So, it's imperative that you're ready when the time comes, and so we'll see if that's the case with Memphis and the Big 12. The Big 12 moves forward with that.
I do believe that the Big 12 wants to add and announce the addition of 4 new teams by the end of the year, if not by the end of maybe even when the holidays begin, like sometime in late November. And if that is going to be the case, if you have something in front of you, or you've asked them in kind of Paul, what did I say about signing in good faith? What was the term?
Yeah. They need to say in good faith that we'll do these things.
That we're ready to go. And we mentioned that Boise State, they were a part of the discussions with Chapter 1. Remember, there could have been 8 at one time. 8 at one time. And that's changed a little bit, and of course it's the 4. But there's a feeling from Memphis fans that the Big 12 rejected them in 2016, no question. That was a crapshoot. That was a dog and pony show. That was just trying to make it look like they were trying to do something. They screwed that up. They were very, very bad in the way they treated many programs. The one this summer, I'm telling you right now, that was as legitimate and real as it could get. And a couple of programs were like, we want to be a part of this, but we need to take care of some of our own backyard. And then there's others that have papers on their table and they didn't want to pull the trigger. So Memphis, we've discussed it ad nauseum for some, but I do think that it's right there in front of them. Right there in front of them. We've heard from SMU. And Rick Hart, he could not have been more effusive in what he wanted and what he was looking at as a possibility, even though right now all of their support is with the expansion in the AAC. We have not spoken with anybody from the University of South Florida. They have not done that, and they might be having an outgoing type of administration situation as well. We know what Boise thinks. We know what Jeremiah Dickey, we know. He can't quite say it. We know what he thinks. We know what Memphis wants, but does Memphis communicated that enough? Are they ready to sign papers right now? Because if they sign papers right now, they would be announced as the next part of it, and they could have been a part of the first 4. But it changed, and so the other 4, of course, we've known Brigham Young, UH, Cincinnati, and also the University of Central Florida, UCF. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Marco's Pizza. Oh, my Lord. Unlimited large 2-topping pizzas. Carry out for $8.99 each. Use the code HOT2GO and order right now. You can go online to marcos.com. Unlimited medium 1-topping pizza. $6.99 each. You can order that right now. Order extra and call it in for an encore. $3 off large specialty pizzas. A crowd pleaser that includes drinks, salad, pizza, sandwiches, and a few other knickknacks as well. And they, of course, will deliver. You can go and pick it up at their stores, and there's 4 locations. You can download the app as well with Marco's Pizza. But there's 4 locations now in the Central Texas or Waco area, including the new location in Robinson, also the location that delivers to us in Belmead, and there's one in Woodway and China Spring as well. Bob Mock has been involved in the pizza business for a long, long time. Always told me he wanted to run his own company. He's got that with Marco's Pizza, with numerous thousands of locations around all throughout America. Marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it.
When it comes to me and my money, I know the way it should be. I need a partner I can count on. That's Genco and me.
Refinance your vehicle today at Genco with rates as low as 1.69% for 48 months and have 90 days of no payments. Refinancing can lower your payment, so you pay less for your car. Apply online and get an additional 0.1% off our already low rate. Thank you, Genco. And don't forget, your vote counts. Vote today for your local school to win $1,500 with Genco's School Spirit Competition. For more information, go to gencofcu.org.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
They're people I trust. They treat me like family. My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. And you're about to approach this time of the year where you have the holidays, special gifts. It's not that you don't have that every single day. What are some of the things you have coming up?
Christmas is the biggest time of year for engagements. You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves. Probably 9 out of 10, every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you could fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
And Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
All right, here we go. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. It's an off week, so he has not been to the office at all in Frisco. He's probably on Cowboys golf course playing around or whatever he does. But Mickey joins us, interrupting that on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. How cool was the off week when there's a little bit of a flare-up with Dak on the calf, and then Tyron Smith has something kind of tweaked a little bit. He walks off for a little bit, comes back and plays because he's tough. And just another week where others have a chance to get back again.
Yeah, this is kind of a perfect time for the bye week to occur. You know, everybody looks at it as, well, this is just 6 games in. Well, it's really 10 games in if you count the 4 preseason games. That's almost a college season, and they still got a college season to go with 11 more games. So, from an injury standpoint, couldn't have come at a better time, because I got a feeling if they had to play Sunday, it might be a tight squeeze for Dak to get back in time for the game. And then Jerry Jones actually kind of referred to that. So the fact that they have 2 weeks, I'm told the goal is to have him ready for the Minnesota game. I think he's got a chance now. So good there, good Tyron Smith, good that now they get Lael Collins back for the next game off the suspension, and have a couple more guys on the way to at least getting back into practice that have been on injured reserve. So, to me, a lot of people want to weigh the rest versus disrupting momentum. I think this team needed to take a deep breath before going forward.
Okay, so for Minnesota, do they expect to have Gallup back and maybe even Kelvin Joseph, who I know hasn't hardly practiced a lick, so we can't expect to really see him much, but at least he'd be available, and they might be able to see some of that talent they drafted him in the second round for?
Maybe Gallup, but again, normally what happens here, Paul, with guys coming back from a long injury rehab is they practice a week, and then the next week they practice and get into a game. So I don't know that Michael Gallup, after being out 6 weeks, missing 5 games, practices once in pads, and you can say, okay, go get it, big boy. I'm not sure that would happen, especially coming off an injury. Kelvin Joseph, he's at least started practice off of IR, so you got 3 weeks to do that. They didn't practice this week, so he can still do that for 2 more weeks. And I don't know how much he's going to help him. He was coming on late in training camp before he suffered the injury. So we'll see, but he's a depth guy. I don't think he immediately steps in and helps him. It helps that, the biggest thing is they get Lael Collins back, and he'll be able to practice. And I think, though, that he's been able to, work out on his own, work out here for the past 2 weeks. he would be ready to play and step in. So Dorrance Armstrong might be getting back into practice. Sean McEwen, who they thought was going to be their third tight end, can get into practice maybe this next week, and then maybe play the next week. So they got guys coming back, and that's the good thing. Everybody wants them to add this and add that. They're getting it ready to add a lot, especially when they get to the point of getting DeMarcus Lawrence and Neville Gallimore back.
Mickey, in terms of the success they've had this season, it's been a combination of things, obviously. But for Mike McCarthy, what do you think have been the best moves that he's made, either done or maybe even not done in some cases, as head coach to help steer them in this direction, along with all of the others that get an immense amount of media, like Kellen Moore and Dak, obviously, and Diggs? What have you thought about Mike McCarthy and what he's specifically done?
Well, the biggest thing he's done is he brought Dan Quinn in as the defensive coordinator. I've been saying that Dan Quinn has to be the Cowboys' most valuable offseason addition, and so far, so good. Now, this defense still needs to get better. It's not there, but think about it. They've got more interceptions in 6 games than they had all last year, 11-10. Now, a lot of that has to do with Diggs, right? He's got 7 of them. But they do have 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns, 2 of them by Diggs. And I just out of the blue said, well, when's the last time a Cowboy had 2 interceptions returned for a touchdown? Well, it ties a single season record because that's the most they've ever had returned for a touchdown. And the last time was Roy Williams in 2002. So yeah, he's playing awfully well. So from McCarthy's standpoint, bringing in Dan Quinn, staying with Kellen Moore as his offensive coordinator, I think has been huge. And then the fact that they brought in some 1-year guys on contracts, the safeties, the guys like J-Ron Curse, who I thought when he got here was going to be a special teams guy. I mean, that's what he was until he started 7 games last year in Detroit. And he's turned out to be one of the most valuable defensive players they've had, playing him at safety, playing him at nickel, playing him as a linebacker, and he's second in the team in tackles right now. So they've made a couple good off-season moves, bringing in some free agents. And then the fact that whoever gets credit for turning Terrence Steele around from a guy that they had to basically benched last year as a rookie free agent who was starting at right tackle, and they just couldn't put up with it anymore, to now a guy that held down the fort while La'el Collins was gone. So I think you got to put all that together. And I know a lot of people out there go, well, what does Mike McCarthy do? Well, I think he's been a pretty good CEO of this team.
All right, Paul brought up Michael Gallup as far as his return, and I've kind of seen a little bit of this, and I don't know if you've had to answer some of this, but the trade deadline's around the corner.
No.
Yeah, it is. But I think people, and I understand that this is not a perfect team. There is no flawless team. But the center position could be better. But you can't have All-Americans or whatever, or All-Pros at every position. I've seen a little bit of that. Hey, why don't we trade Michael Gallup? Because we've seen what Cedric Wilson's doing, or the offense. Don't you have to be careful when you have depth not to act like that means you could start trading depth or not?
I never understand why everybody looks ahead instead of staying in the moment. It's like, well, let's get to next year. Well, no, this is this year. And trade Michael Gallup and get one injury at the wide receiver core, and then what? Tell me who's your next guy up? Yep. Noah Brown?
Yep.
So you want Noah Brown out there with Cedric Wilson and either Mari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb? I don't think so. There's no need to get cute. And by the way, Cedric Wilson, his contract's up after this year too. You want to trade him? So no, you've got a team with some depth, and you've got to play 11 more games. There's no sense trying to get cute. And by the way, what do you think you would get for a guy who's missed the last 6 weeks?
Not much, Mickey.
Right? Your compensatory pick might be better than what you can get in a trade.
Yeah,
so there's no need to try. This isn't Major League Baseball. This isn't basketball. where you start trading guys at the deadline. There's no sense to do that. And what are you going to get? Our team's so well stocked with players that they're going to give you somebody that's going to step in and be a starter for you? It's not going to happen. So, yeah, it's great. It's great barroom talk, okay?
Yeah. And, Mickey, the Cowboys' upcoming offseason is going to be one of the more interesting ones that they've had in a long time.
But you're getting ahead of yourself.
But no. And I'm getting your point. Yeah. I mean, like the one they're having. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this be one of the, for them, like especially with contract negotiations and all the things they have to do, to be kind of one of the deadest seasons ever, because right now they've got a good thing going on the field and having to deal with the impending free agents like Wilson and Gallup and Randy Gregory and Leighton Vander Esch and all these guys who have contracts coming up, plus the guys who played well for them on one-year deals. There's a lot of that coming up. That's what the offseason's for. They don't really need to worry about it right now because things are going so well. Forget about the offseason. Live in the now. No, absolutely. Take care of this season. And hey, and nothing's guaranteed. 5-1 doesn't get you in the playoffs. Still got to play 11 games. They got games coming up. They got to go to Kansas City. They got to go to New Orleans. They got a stretch in December where they got to play 3 consecutive road games, which is always a dangerous situation. Just kind of be happy with where you're at and get some guys back. And, the hard part they're going to have is when they get some of these guys returning, they're going to have to cut some of these guys they've been leaning on for the last 6 games. And that's going to be the more difficult thing. You saw what happened, right? When they made room for La'el Collins, they cut Brandon Knight, figured they can get him on the practice squad, and then he got claimed. Although he didn't report, so I'm to the Ravens, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. But again, that just shows you cut an offensive lineman, and there's not enough in this league to go around. Somebody's going to grab even a guy that hasn't even played for you this year.
So really, what happened to Steele? I mean, this is insanity. Well, that was going to be the biggest problem. La'el Collins is out. It was going to be a little bit of last year. Who gets credit for him? Him? Terrence Steele?
Well, I think he gets credit for his work in the offseason. I think I've mentioned it to you guys that, they give 10 awards for the best guys performing in the offseason workout program, conditioning program. He was one of them. You ask everybody, he got stronger. Which normally happens, especially for an offensive lineman who probably was not as strong as he needed to be to play in the NFL and start as many games as he did last year. I think Joe Philbin got to get some credit for staying with this guy because I'll tell you what, by the end of training camp, when they were playing the second string offensive line, he had started at right tackle and he ended up at left tackle, which to me was an indication that they were thinking, okay, this might be a better backup swing tackle than the veteran Ty Nsekhe. Let's give him some experience at left tackle. And so I thought he had won the job, even though Nsekhe got hurt early, and then he had the concussion or the heat exhaustion deal that happened a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, this is one of the more remarkable surprises because I was all for, hey, move Zach Martin out the tackle, bring in Connor McGovern and guard, and let's go play. But this guy came out and has played much better. Now, is he perfect? There's a lot of people now, well, he's your starting right tackle. La'el Collins go play guard. No way. But they've given him some help, right? It hasn't been all him. They did a nice job of changing somewhat of their offense, playing a lot more 2 tight end. Not always 2 tight ends to his side, which helps, right? But 2 tight ends to the other side to make the defense shift away from him and not have him get so many blitzes on his side or 2 guys coming in. He's got to decide which guy to pick up. So when we talked to Philbin about him, he thought the experience he got last year and then got off to a good start this year, his confidence grew. And when your confidence grows as an offensive lineman, you become a better player. And I talked to Nate Newton about that quite a bit. And he said there's no way to even measure how important that is to have confidence in what you're doing.
Thank you, Mickey. Appreciate it as always. Thursdays around 4:30. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Cowboys have the off week, and they are 3 games up. 3 games up on the Washington football team, organization, franchise. 3 games up through 6 weeks of the season. That thing's almost over.
By the way,
really, technically, it's not.
What happened to that big text message gate with the Washington football team? You see how the NFL convenient was like, oh, no. That other stuff was not a part of the investigation that we were doing, and that's just gone away. That's just gone to the wayside.
All those 600,000 emails were all Bruce Allen's.
Or John Gruden's.
Yeah, but the emails that they got that we were hearing about were all Bruce Allen's. So that means, I thought 650,000 was everybody's email. Mm-hmm. That was just Bruce Allen's email that when he worked for Washington. So now you're talking about millions of emails we don't even know about. Now, maybe Bruce Allen was the only one dumb enough to send topless pictures of the cheerleaders around on his professional email, but I tend to believe that that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, they didn't include text messages, and so that's crazy to me. You do this whole full-blown investigation. John Gruden just randomly gets fired as a result of this, and you're like, oh yeah, but we didn't include the text messages, so we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, we're gonna investigate the Washington football team and fire the guy who's with the Las Vegas Raiders because of something he did.
And we're only going to focus in on this narrow batch of emails, not thoroughly through what you just said. So yeah, kind of almost like the people in charge sort of massaged this to where they got, I guess, something that they wanted and avoid things that they don't want. Kind of convenient.
They fined him $10 million. That's all we need to know.
And by the way, again, the John Gruden thing, people can have an argument about what he should have been fired or not. That's another story. But as far as you go fire the Raiders head coach because you're investigating the Washington football team.
And you get ESPN's guy in trouble.
In trouble. When we come back, Craig Smoak's off the radar. Later on, Abilene High, former head coach at Abilene High. He'll discuss some things with us as well, and including the recruitment of Abram Smith when he was an all-state running back at Abilene High. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Look, inventory has been an issue for car dealerships all across the country over these last few months. I mean, it's been a problem because, there have been some computer chip shortages across the country. So that's been hurting vehicle inventory throughout the country and worldwide. But there is good news coming as General Motors has announced they are restarting production and will have a release of a steady flow of vehicles throughout the fall. So cars and trucks are coming, and now is the time to contact Richard Carr to get your name on a new Buick, GMC, or Cadillac as they are being shipped. You can drive a new car or truck sooner when you get on Richard Carr's Choose Your Inbound Vehicle list, and you can get your car or truck first as they arrive. If you're looking for a pickup, get a Sierra from Richard Carr. It's got an ideal combination of power and strength combined with refinement and luxury, making Sierra one of the best trucks on the road. If you're looking for a roomy SUV, well, consider the Buick lineup of SUVs that offer the size and versatility to fit every lifestyle. Or perhaps you want the ultimate combo of sophistication and power. That means you need to check out the new Cadillac XT6 or the Cadillac Escalade. Cars and trucks are coming, so get your name on that Choose Your Inbound Vehicle list today and get your vehicle before anyone else. But if you are looking to save and drive right away, drive today. Richard Carr is loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them go through a 172-point inspection. And with dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always the goal. So go online or come by the dealership for a test drive today. Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership, so give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Richard Carr Motors, owned, operated, and run by loyal and proud Baylor Bears.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th at Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit Visit Pizza Place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day. And it's not just pizza, great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott at edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome back in Sikkim 365 Radio. Time for Off the Radar, taking a look at some stories that we might not normally touch on in our usual conversations surrounding the Cowboys and college football at large, but I will have some NFL and college football notes in this segment on the regular, and I actually will start off with some college athletics. Credit to Ross Dellinger for putting this up and also Open Doors for compiling the information. But I did find it interesting, how much name, image, likeness has kind of gone to the wayside as we've gotten into the season. I mean, think about when we were talking about that over the summer and the hand-wringing that was going on. And, I mean, is college football still okay with name, image, likeness? Has anybody, diva'd off their team or, nothing, right? I mean, there's really been no interruptions as a result of name, image, likeness, but it was just interesting that Open Doors put together some info to let you know kind of where NIL sits as we are halfway through the football season. The Big Ten is the top compensation, top conference in terms of athlete compensation. The Big 12 is number 2.
Are they really?
Yeah. They are actually up. So I don't know
because of Spencer Rattler's money?
I don't know. I don't know why they're up, but they're number 2. ACC is number 3, SEC 4, Pac-12 5. And Conference USA, now number 6, Sun Belt, Big East, American at number 9, and the Mountain West is the 10th best in terms of total compensation through the month of September. So, yeah, kind of interesting there. Also, this is what Ross pointed out. Football and men's basketball account for nearly 80% of the name, image, likeness compensation, football and men's basketball. So all the other sports combined for obviously 20%.
Although that's actually a smaller number than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be 90. So
no, there you go.
I thought it was going to be 90. So that's good news. I mean, that doesn't sound, but that's kind of good news.
I think the Cavender twins, I don't know if you guys have heard about Haley and Hannah.
Gymnasts, right?
They're the Instagram girls. I think they probably are the other 20%.
Very well could be, yeah.
Fresno State, yeah.
Yeah, they very well might be, and I'm sure they are a big part of that chunk that's the non-football or men's basketball. But yeah, football and men's basketball, about 80% of the compensation. I also pointed out that 87% of the NIL activities have been about posting content. Mm-hmm. That's it. Just posting content has been 87% of the name, image, likeness money that has flowed through. And, I guess what else has it been? Autograph signings, for businesses, commercials, I suppose, things like that. But mostly it's like, hey, eat at this place because I love their hot dog, or whatever it is that I've seen college kids do. It's not swayed me one iota to do or buy anything, but I'm sure it has for others.
But we're not the ones. And I get, I have a nephew who desperately wants to be a YouTube star. And I'm trying to tell him that, listen, buddy, I'm not saying that you can't. It's hard for me to say that when we love YouTube and it's
you don't want it to cut into your revenue.
But but I'm telling him you've got to. It took us. We're not new to this business. It took us a long time to even get this kind of notoriety that we do. So you got to have a backup plan. But when all that young people see, and I can't blame them. Look, if I could figure out a job where it was like, hey, yo, check me out.
Yeah.
It's me and my boy Smokey and Craig. We're here. We're eating chicken wings.
Yeah.
What's up? Eat these chicken wings. And somebody gave me $10,000 for that. I would do that job.
Yeah.
What if it was sauerkraut?
Whatever it was. Okay. I don't care.
What if it was you have to be in a parade?
I can be bought.
You have to give
Halloween dressed and as a member of a marching band in the parade.
I can be bought.
Okay, Halloween candy.
I can be bought.
To kids.
He's letting me know he's can be bought.
I can be bought. All right. I have no integrity.
Right. Yeah, so 87% of the NIL stuff has been just posting content, like eat these chicken wings that are great or whatever. But the other note that he had, on average, the Division I athlete this year, because of name, image, likeness, on average across the board, all sports, the amount of money made per athlete is $391. So obviously some are getting less, some are getting way more.
We know
Bryce
somebody's
Young
getting $1 million, right? Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, obviously there's many getting zero. On average, $391 per athlete.
But then I'll tell you, so all these people that are wringing their hands about NIL, you're talking about a 1%, which is how the society works, is the top 1%. And then you're kicking up a fuss because a kid might get $400. I mean,
as
come
one
on.
guy responded to Ross's tweet, his name's just Tell Him, so shout out to you. But he said NCAA fought for years over $341 per athlete.
Yeah, and of course we're talking about those in swimming, maybe equestrian,
all the sports.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's not. I still think 80% is less. Like Paul, you said, I thought it would be like 85 to 90%. But Blake, Paul, did Snoop Minnis drive a Bentley at Florida State?
I'll tell you this is funny. Snoop Minnis was my meteorology lab partner.
Did he drive a Bentley?
At that time, he did not drive a Bentley. He had it was a pretty nice Ford
Range
Explorer.
Rover?
It was very nice Florida Explorer or Expedition. Okay. It was not a Bentley. Okay. Now, maybe later he had one, but yeah.
That was one of my favorite names growing up, Snoop Minnis. Also,
great guy.
Yeah. Did he do his fair share of
Did he give you
lab
any
work?
Did he do his fair share of lab work? He was always there.
Were you his tutor?
I helped him a little bit.
Let's take away that 93 national
Elsewhere, top sports for NIL compensation. This is a great chart that Open Doors and Ross had. Football, 55.4% of the compensation. Men's basketball, 13.4%. Then it's women's volleyball, women's basketball, women's swim and diving. Those are the 3, 4, and 5 spots in terms of the top 5 sports. So football, men's basketball, no surprise, women's volleyball, women's basketball, women's swim and diving. And the least active in terms of name, image, likeness is women's soccer. only making up 1% of the total distribution or compensation. So,
but Jack is giving the Baylor soccer team.
He is.
That must be the 1% we're talking about.
He is. So, in addition to posting content, there's other activities that are listed. I don't know, maybe those are like blogs or something like that. Licensing rights, creating content. But yeah, posting content is a big king. So, just a little bit of an update there on name, image, likeness. Kind of interesting to see how that is. How that has gone on. Tonight in the NFL, we're going to have Broncos and Browns at 7:20. Baker Mayfield's going to play, but it's known that he's going to have surgery on his torn labrum probably after the season. Also, Teddy Bridgewater is going to start tonight as well. So Broncos and Browns later on this evening, Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, Baker and Case Keenum, I think you're going to see more Case Keenum than Baker. I know that there was a report yesterday that Case Keenum's going to start. Baker, that's rough for the Browns. I feel bad for them because, look, Kareem Hunt's out. Nick Chubb is out. Jarvis Landry's been out.
He's coming back tonight, by the way.
Yeah,
he's expected to come back. Also.
You have all these guys that have been gone. So that's a team that's good but has been hit by the injury bug. So we'll see. I think the Browns are maybe a next year team at this point.
Yeah, kind of disappointing, right? I mean, just given sort of the expectations coming in, but Baker is banged up, and it does sound like he's going to have surgery after the offseason. So we will see, and wouldn't be surprised, Paul, if we see more than just him back there at quarterback. But, yeah, you got Broncos and Browns later on tonight in the NFL. College football tonight, Louisiana and Arkansas State on ESPNU. A little Billy Napier action. SMU, number 21 team in the country, unbeaten. They're at home tonight at Gerald Ford Stadium, taking on Tulane on ESPN at 7:30. FAU Charlotte, also San Jose State and UNLV. 11 p.m. kickoff for that one. So if you want a late night action.
By that game, the Astros would have stopped scoring.
Yes, most likely. So that does lead me to the MLB postseason tonight. We will get Game 5 of the NLCS. Starting just after 8 o'clock. Or is this Central Time again? I can never tell on these. But regardless, tonight, Braves-Dodgers, Game 5. Braves looking to close it out and book themselves a trip to the series.
Anyone else think that they remind you of the Nationals, or were the Nationals just purely more speed? They had power with Soto and all that, but they kind of remind me of the Nationals.
Yeah, a little bit. The Nationals had, speed, but they're a good mix of veterans and young players. Yeah, and the Braves are doing it without a couple of guys for a long season. They've been out for the year, so if they make it,
Acuna, right?
Yeah, that's their. That's their future.
Yeah.
And Freddie Freeman about to be a free agent, so it'd be nice to see if the Braves won the World Series, if they wind up losing him, which I can't imagine him playing anywhere else, but you never know, for him to get a World Series with them.
And tomorrow night, the ALCS will resume, so that leads me to, how you feeling, Paul? Astros now up 3-2. The game tomorrow night's in Houston. Be Eovaldi versus Garcia as far as the pitching matchup goes. So
that series ended when Altuve hit the home run to tie Game 4 2-2.
I agree with you, although it makes me feel good that Eovaldi's on the mound to start. He's been fantastic all year long. He's an ace now, but I don't know. The Red Sox bats have to wake back up again. I mean, they went to sleep, after the first inning in Game 4. So, I don't know. I'm not confident. And the issues that they've had all year kind of creep up to them. Either way, neither team is really playing all that well as they head into the World Series. So if the Braves if the Dodgers come back or the Braves win, I think they'd have to feel pretty good about the teams that they've got matchup-wise because they have problems that you just can't solve in the postseason.
The Astros and Red Sox are like two heavyweight fighters who just keep knocking each other's butt on the canvas. Like it reminded me of Ron Lyle. And was it Ken Norton or Lyle and Foreman, whoever that fight was back in the 70s, that just beat the hell out of each other? All right.
Elsewhere in the NFL, the Washington football team, there's the big rumor yesterday, great. John McClain talking about Deshaun Watson. And apparently Deshaun Watson, potentially being on the move to the Miami Dolphins. That was the team that he had mentioned as being nearing a deal with the Houston Texans. Now, nothing has come of that just yet, but it didn't stop everybody from, getting way ahead and saying, okay, well, if Deshaun goes to Miami, then, what happens with Tua and what happens here and what happens there and, the subsequent domino effect. But Albert Breer did report that regardless of if a Watson to Dolphins deal does get done between the two teams, that the Washington football team is unlikely to be in the mix for Tua Tagovailoa. So that was a little rumor going around with the Watson news, but it doesn't appear that Washington is interested in Tua.
No,
at least that's what they're saying.
All that is putting a Band-Aid on what you have right now.
That's what they're saying, of course.
And it would be interesting to see the Texans aren't playing Watson because he told them he never intended to play for them anymore, and they're playing him now not to play. So what happens, when the Dolphins maybe just play him in spite, because the NFL hasn't suspended him yet? And our friend Dan Lust has tweeted out several pretty interesting things about this, saying, look, if the reason for the suspension is what he did, then he should be suspended, or what he's alleged to do, he should be on that NFL reserve, whatever the list is now. And then if the Dolphins decide to play him, it shouldn't be he's on the list. He should be on the list because of what has happened. Not what the Dolphins are going to play him. And Roger Goodell doesn't have to right now because they're not playing him, but he should be on there regardless.
Yeah, it's a weird, awkward situation there.
Yep, and I will close it on out with some NBA versus China news. Enes Kanter, he is somebody who is not afraid to speak his mind. Enes Kanter with some shots on China's leader, calling him a brutal dictator. Kanter posted a bunch of different social media posts yesterday. He talked about cultural genocide in Tibet. He talked a lot about China and their treatment of others and whatnot.
Like the Uyghurs?
Yeah, and so he was getting into all that, and he's been very outspoken, at times. But we know what happened with China and the Rockets and the NBA, not that long ago. So in response, Chinese internet technology company that is called Tencent, they had agreed to a 5-year, $1.5 billion deal with the NBA in 2019. So that deal's not even, I guess, maybe about 2 years old at this point. So he goes on and he makes those comments, and within a very certain amount of time, all Boston Celtics highlights were completely off of their platforms. Like, he couldn't find stuff for them, so they just saw Enes Kanter's comments and basically wiped them off of their little Tencent platform.
You know what? Good for you, Enes Kanter. He's not welcome in his home country of Turkey because he's talked about what a despot Erdogan is, and I admire him for being so brave and bold, because
I'm surprised he hadn't been suspended by the NBA.
There are a lot of players in the NBA who were not.
He had the balls to say what a lot of people probably should have been saying, especially during a lot of the controversies when the NBA wanted to worry about some things that were valuable, relevant, and in some cases maybe overblown. But my God, thank God somebody finally said. Remember when the Rockets GM, Morey, whatever, he said something and everyone just jumped him.
Oh, yeah.
Just jumped all over him.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron didn't want to stop cashing those checks, nor did Adam Silver or anybody else that's got any direct influence. I mean, we know what it is. It's all about money. That's all it is. They don't care about the, people being hurt or whatever. They're getting their money from China. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not even knocking it. I'm just stating what's true. So, he made those, and they wiped off all the Celtics highlights. They took down the stream links. And they weren't visible on the website anymore.
So the Celtics are no longer a part of the NBA.
China has eliminated the Celtics from the NBA. But he even wore free Tibet on his shoes last night. Like, he does not care. I will say this about Enes Kanter: he really is. He's got balls. He's taking on a whole country and just not backing down and does not care. He just keeps talking. So I give him a lot of credit for being a very strong individual and not backing down in any way. Whether it has an effect or not, who knows? But yeah, good for him.
Good for him. He's my favorite player now in the NBA.
Yeah, there's a few stories that are off the radar.
All right, back to the Cavender twins. Evaluation prepared by the marketing platform in April. This is about the NFL NIL thing that Craig was giving those stats, which were remarkable, the data. Individual social media accounts are each worth $45,000 annually. The shared TikTok, more than $520,000 annually. A single branded post from the account would be worth $35,000. Added in a shared YouTube channel, those two shared accounts alone could pull in as much as $600,000 a year.
Yeah, I never jumped on the tip. I mean, there's been too many apps and stuff. I've lessened rather than kept adding and never taken part in TikTok. I know it's so popular and whatever. I just don't care. But yeah, I mean, good for them. I mean, social media is it's incredible. I mean, I don't know what the appeal is for a lot of people to just fork over, cash constantly for just like random stuff. But there's, people found a market. That market's exploded, and people like that are, succeeding. So good for them.
When we come back, a former Abilene offensive coordinator and head coach, Del Van Cox. He was there when Abram Smith, who's having a heck of a run at Baylor, literally run at Baylor, his recruitment story and the fact he had to go through a knee injury then as he did at Baylor, and how Philip Montgomery, Jeff Lebby, David Wetzel, Joey McGuire, Matt Rule, and others, and how that came together, and how that Abram Smith, R.J. Sneed, I believe, and Charlie Brewer were all in the same group that met Matt Rule and were midterm enrollees. And look at what they had done. At least Charlie now no longer at Baylor, but we know that story. That's next. Del Van Cox on how did Abram Smith get recruited to Baylor? He almost ended up at Tulsa, but that's about it. Next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Life is back on, sports bettors, as it has been for a while, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, college football, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. So log on to BetUS.com. That's BetUS.com. 125% bonus if you use promo code SICKM125, or if you want to use crypto instead of cash, SICKM200 will get you a 200% bonus on a crypto transaction. Bet with the three-decade leader, BetUS.com. Join now for 125% bonus or 200% bonus with those promo codes I gave you, SICKM125 and SICKM200. Bet sports, casino, horses, pop culture, and more. BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com.
Are good.
New cars and trucks are coming. New car inventory is low, but GM just announced they will release a steady flow of vehicles through the fall. Now is the time to get your name on Richard Carr's first in-line priority list and get a car or truck first. Call Richard Carr Motors or go online to discuss cars and trucks in transit today. Go to richardcarr.com for more details.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Smith piercing the line, lacerating that defense and inside the 20. Malik Moore finally pushing him out of bounds.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Gonna hand it off, got the first down, and Moore still going. Smith still on his feet, got a little help from his friends. Touchdown Bears.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Learn more at richardcarr.com.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Former Abilene High longtime assistant, but also head coach Del Van Cox with us. And the reason we're talking to Coach Cox is he was the offensive coordinator, then a head coach at Abilene, and Abram Smith, Baylor's running back, who's getting so much attention with the year he's having and what he did. He was a record-breaking running back at Abilene High. When I called you earlier, you said it's about time they put him in the right position. You've kind of watched him. He's a tremendously unselfish young man, selfless as well, and now he's gotten his chance again.
Yes, I mean it's very exciting for the for us as coaches that knew what kind of player he is and was and to see him, suffer through all the things that he's been through, with injuries and still maintain get back to that level that he's at. And man, it's just exciting for us to, good things happen to good people.
What was it like to be his offensive coordinator, knowing you could hand the ball? And you had other people. Abilene High's got a great tradition, but being able to hand it to him, he had 4,955 yards and scored a bunch of touchdowns and catch it out of the backfield. Your thoughts about what you saw? First of all, when you just him as a high school player and what you saw.
Well, we've had lots of good running backs at Abilene High School, and him being the all-time leading rusher for Abilene High School speaks for itself. I mean, he's probably the best that I've ever seen. The thing that it was easy to call plays with Abram, handing it to him because man, he's going to get positive yards. He's going to get there if it gets cloudy. He's going to duck his head and get the positive yards and makes it easy to call plays for the next play.
He seems to run with controlled, and Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, had mentioned that they wanted to run like a violent offense, in a way that the way they almost controlled violence. Do you see that? Did you always see that in Abram, the way he's run?
Yeah, I mean, he's tough to tackle. I mean, he's very shifty. He's deceptively shifty, and but man, yeah, he's just he's hard to tackle. I was watching a video the other day, and somebody shared it on Facebook, and he broke about 4 tackles and they kept running him to the sidelines, and next thing you know, he's just sprinting down the sidelines for about 60 more yards for a touchdown. So yeah, he's definitely a good, strong. He's got the mentality of a strong running back. He's not an overly big back, but of course at Abilene he was one of our bigger backs that we ever had. So yeah, but he was definitely a pleasure to be able to call plays with.
that phrase that Jeff likes to use, Coach Grimes, reliable, violent offense. I remember when we had him on and we was hired, he brought that up because that's absolutely what they weren't the last couple of years. Well, at least last year running the football, they struggled across the board. And, of course, then Abram playing linebacker, that's no surprise that he was able to have that mentality to play linebacker. So let's go back. He was an all-state running back. He broke the record at Abilene High. You've had Herschel Sims, and as you mentioned, a string of great running backs in the history of that school. What was the recruitment like?
No, his recruitment was non-existent, to be honest with you. I mean, we brought him up as a freshman. We were struggling offensively, and our defensive coordinator, Mike Fullen, who's the head coach at Abilene High now, we would visit every day, and he was going against Abram in the scout team, against the varsity, and he said, "Man, you need to look at this guy." So, we brought him up his freshman year, and he's one of, I was at Abilene High for 23 years, and we had two players that played as a freshman. He was one of them. The other was Jake McMillan, who played offensive lineman at Texas. So, he brought him up, and shoot, he had about 500 yards in 2.5 games. So, yeah, his recruitment, he was fixing to be a all-star recruit. Got injured his sophomore year, blew out his knee, as everybody knows, and his sophomore year, and didn't finish out the year. Had surgery, recovered, came back, ran a little track, and then came back for his junior year, rushed for about 1,600 yards. But by then, all the big D1 schools had overlooked him, and actually, our coaching buddies that were at Stephenville, that went up to, they were at Baylor, Philip Montgomery and those guys at Tulsa, they coached him. He had actually verbally committed to Tulsa. And then after running about a 21.8 at the district meet as a senior, Coach Levy from Baylor came through, back when he was there with Art, and he came through and watched him in track practice, and he was like, "Well, why is nobody recruiting this guy?" Like, because he's injured, and we're out in West Texas. Nobody comes out here, Nobody's going to come out here for two schools, So we're very under recruited out here, and we got some good football players, and he was one that, here's another one that was under recruited was old Ronell Wilson, who's at Tarleton right now, and making all kinds of plays on defense. So we had some good players that nobody came out here and recruited. So when Coach McGuire got there, they made the call and I'm gonna tell you, Abrams always wanted to go to Baylor. He's always liked it, and has been one of his favorite schools, and he ended up being at the place he wanted to be.
There's a story that when Coach Briles and that staff, we know the story about 2016, and that would have been Abrams' senior year, and Levy and so many other great assistant coaches, they were gone. And then here comes Matt Rule, and they have Joey McGuire, and then David Wetzel's on that staff, and of course David, president of the Texas High School Coaches Association, is also the one that said and reminded the staff earlier this year, you may not know this, but Abram, he's a running back, and he just happened to be moved to linebacker, but he's a running back. Did you talk to David at all about that?
He's told Coach Warren. I've visited Coach Warren about that. He said they were in a meeting, and Coach Grimes said, "Man, we need somebody that's going to hit this thing one cut, get it downhill. We need a downhill runner." And he said, "Well, Coach Wetzel said, well, we got one. He's playing defense."
Yeah.
So it's great to get, that's a good thing about Abram. We talked to him, he was getting, once he got injured at Baylor, he was kind of getting, lowered on the depth chart there. And like, well, he was a good defensive player too, when he was a freshman we had him up on JV. He played every down on the offense and defense for us, on our JV squad. So we knew he could play. He's just a competitor, and that's what makes him a good football player.
They needed a one-cut, downhill, physical running back, running the wide zone, and David Wetzel. We got one. He's playing linebacker. It says a lot, and that's one of the connections. When you heard he was flipping to running back, and you've seen what he's done this year, this is what you knew he could do, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what we saw him do. That's all we know. Out here, that's all we know. That's all we saw him do for 3 years, 4 years, 3.5 years. And when we saw him hit those downhills and hit those holes, and there's a reason why he's the all-time leading rusher in Abilene High School history.
He's only 115 yards or so away, or so, whatever it is, from getting to 1,000. And Baylor last year didn't even have 1,000 yards total, as they hit just over 800 yards rushing. Have you had a chance to talk to Abram, or what does it mean to Abilene High? I know you've had others. I'm not saying this is like the work, because I've mentioned some names. But what does this mean to Abilene High to have him having this kind of a run?
Oh man, yeah, it's very prideful to see our kids go and play college football. We have a picture. We get them to send us a picture to where that they can put it on our wall. Our college athletes, and gives our young kids something to look forward to. But it just makes them Saturday games a lot more exciting to watch. I mean, now we get to be Tulsa fans, we get to be Baylor fans, we get to be TCU fans. I mean, we're fans of 2 or 3 schools instead of just one.
It's interesting. It's crazy how it all ties together. It wasn't like, and he was a star running back, but because of the injury, the late start, and he had the knee injury again at Baylor that set him back, as you mentioned. It's all about perseverance, and how that clock started ticking with Phillip, and then Levy, and then Joey and David Wetzel, and it happened to be where Baylor lost a guy that could have run this, could have been in that position. He transferred to Penn State, and he probably would have fit in perfectly, but in John Lovett. But Del Cox, again, Cox, thanks for your time, Coach. We appreciate looking back at Abram Smith back when he was starring there, and right now has had a great run at Baylor as well this year.
Everybody now is figuring out he's a great player, but I'm going to tell you, he's even a better person. And just showing all the things, the mentality that he has he's a great teammate. He was always there was a lot of times up there when I was up there working, and as being a head coach, but I look out there and he's working by himself, and on Saturdays and Sundays coming up there, and he's a great teammate, loyal, and man, he's y'all got a good one, and I'm glad he's finally having the success that he deserves.
Thank you very much. Del Van Cox, former Abilene High head coach, was offensive coordinator on Sikkim 365 Radio. So again, remember the timeline. Philip Montgomery in Tulsa, he was committed to them. Abram Smith at Abilene wasn't getting much recruitment. Ran a 21.8 in the 200. All of a sudden, Jeff Levy and Baylor, And then, of course, that staff out. And fortunately, Joey McGuire in Cedar Hill had played against Abilene, knew about Abram, and brought him in, and they were a part of that early class with Matt Rule in 2017. When we come back, we are not done. 525, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. And also, Vita Dreamy, a THC-free, it's a gummy. Allows you to nibble on a little piece of a gummy or whatever you want, an entire gummy. Next thing you know, your alarm goes off. Well, unless you're older and you got to get up in the middle of the night. But you fall asleep a lot easier. You don't toss and turn. You have things on your mind. Maybe it's financial, it's personal, it's work, whatever it might be, or you're exhilarated or adrenaline rush after a big sports game on TV or where you've been. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans has Delta THC products as well. New cigars, the best that they have available, along with all the others of Aston, Macanudo, etc. Alec Bradley, Gatekeeper number 7. Punch Knuckle Buster. Punch is the one that's shaped a little bit flat. It's really a very simple cigar to have in your hand as well. And the Leather Rose Petite Corona. Those available inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Cheyenne Ashley and Carol, they run it, they know it, they understand it. They also know the trends when it comes to the cigar business, and they have fresh ground coffee beans as well. Whatever you want, one of the more popular flavors is the Cowboy. It's Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Allen Samuels in Waco, we're celebrating Ram Power Days, bringing the first truck brand to take the top spot overall in new vehicle initial quality by J.D. Power. With the 2021 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star, you can get total values up to $6,000 or 2.9% for 72 months, plus $2,000 in bonus cash. All first responders get an extra $500. Come see why Ram wins great awards year after year. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
All right, Jennifer Smoak is she's out of town with her college buddies to go watch Texas Tech, that red-hot football team in Lubbock. A dangerous team at times as well, but she's in Lubbock. She's about to walk into some get-together with her sorority girls. And we weren't expecting her to have a segment today, but she called up and said she needs to be heard. So she's with us now on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
That's a lie.
Do you need a win this weekend?
You can't just jump on here when you're winning, and then all of a sudden, like, some losing happens, and you're like, I don't know. I don't want to be on the show anymore.
These are all lies. No, I told Dad, I said, nobody wants to hear about a 1-5 team. You know, it's like it's nothing exciting.
What are you talking about? We talked about Baylor all last year.
Craig.
Look at Bubba with the jokes today.
Oh, I know.
Well, Jen, I guess the good news for you is it's the bye-pocalypse. There's like 7 or 8 teams on bye this week, so everybody's got to kind of mix and match. And I know that, you know, right now you're not picked to win, but I like your chances a little bit better to get off of this skid this week.
Oh, please, Paul. Listen, I like, that's really sweet and optimistic and everything, but like, first of all, if you like, have people in that I literally just picked up, and 2 of them that I have in right now, which is Julio Jones, who got like re-injured himself again last week. I have him in right now, and then I also have Alex Collins, who I've never played on my team, and he's also listed as questionable. And if you look at my bench, I have half of the players are on bye, who are 3 of my starters, and the other half are injured. McCaffrey, Tony, and I did pick up Michael Thomas like y'all suggested, so okay. I did get him. Sorry for the dogs in the background, but anyways, but yeah, Tony last week, he's listed as doubtful this week, of course. So yeah, half my team is still hurt. I'm picking up people left and right. I just saw someone drop Cousins, so I'm definitely picking him up because, you know, I lost my quarterback, and I have Carr right now, who's still good. But, you know, I took the advice last week and played Heineke, and he was absolutely horrific. So, you know, I'm still struggling, but I'm still here, you know, still playing. All
right, I'm going to do, because
somebody wanted to know about Michael Thomas, so that's good.
I do believe that you have some people, and I told you this last week, some of your league is listening to this advice, because I'll tell you, and then right after the show, you go to pick up the person we tell.
Well, Merit Bear stole Herbert.
I'm with Meredith. Yeah. I'm with Meredith right now. And so, yeah, last week, whenever y'all said, go get Herbert, go get Renfro, which I had picked up Renfro about 2 weeks ago or so, but I had to drop him because that's the problem I'm having right now. Like, if Julio Jones doesn't end up playing, and then if Alex Collins doesn't end up playing, then I am screwed. And I have to drop people that I don't want to drop. So I'm either going to have to drop someone like Julio Jones, which I'm not even complaining about because, again, he's been a complete disappointment like my whole team. But I'm going to have to drop someone like him, somebody else that I don't want to drop because I'm going to have to pick somebody up to just fill my roster for this week. And so, yeah, last week after we got off the show and y'all recommended Herbert and y'all recommended other people, I literally get off the phone, I go to my fantasy, and bam, Meredith picked up Herbert. But I did question her today on our ride up to Lubbock, and she was not listening. It just happened to be that she literally, like at 5:30, right as I get off the show, she just picked him up. So, I tried to make a trade with her.
Jen,
yeah, I trust her.
Our target demographic is your age group and gender. So I don't believe that. Yeah. For once,
I don't think she lied. She was actually had like running backs hurt too, and like so she needed somebody. But you know, I tried to make a trade with her on the way up here, but unfortunately, I have absolutely nobody to give her. So and she really doesn't have anybody to give me either. So you know, it's just another week in heaven, right?
Why don't you two do this? It would be illegal, but that's fine. You two trade each other the best players available, and one of you two have a better team, right? And
no, I'm
undermine the league. Undermine the league. You got to tank it. One person tanks it, the other person gets the best players, and you have a better team.
That's what I said. I said I'm gonna at this point being 1-5, I can either pout about it and be super upset and be angry the rest of the season and envious of everyone else, or I can start dropping my good players and giving people hints on picking them up. And then now my goal is just to make sure that the girls that have messed with me all season lose. Well, that's my goal now.
Especially that one, whatever her name was, it was so mean. All right, from Caden, Jennifer is a pure joy to listen to. Let's see, from Chris, Jennifer, if you did not add Michael Thomas to your bench, you will be gone. He will be gone soon.
I did.
All right, from Jeff Grimm. Jennifer, how did you like the Julio Jones catch on Monday Night Football?
I don't like Julio Jones at all. So, no, I'm kidding. No, he's just been, I have nothing to brag about regarding him this season. Literally, he's just been a bust. And it's like last week they were like saying AJ Brown was going to be out because he was sick. AJ Brown did 10 times better than Julio. And then all of a sudden he's limping off the field because he's hurt again. Like, I don't know what's going on with these hamstring injuries. This is ridiculous. Like, I'd rather someone break a foot or something so they actually have an excuse to be gone for this long. This is ridiculous. And then, of course, as all y'all know, I'm sure, they ended up putting Christian McCaffrey on IR. They're teasing me all last week, telling me he's going to come back. He's going to come back. Okay, no, thanks, guys. It's another 3 to 4 weeks. Now I'm going into week 9, and I need him now. And then same with Michael Thomas. I just read that they're still saying it could be multiple weeks when everyone was saying he was possibly coming back this week. So it's just one disappointment after the other, honestly. But I'm taking people's advice now. I'm trying to do my best, but it's just now I have nobody to give anybody to even get anybody. So
here's another one. Craig is enjoying Jennifer's slump too much. Look at the smirk on his face. Also,
that's just what Craig looks.
Kidding me?
Is that true, Craig?
No. I mean, I'd rather hear about winning than losing it week after week. I'm just disappointed. I don't think you're representing the family very well, and it's in the family of losers. So get it together.
Here's another one.
You know how I know? No, Dad. You know how I know the Bubba doesn't care? Because I used to send y'all, a screenshot of my team every Sunday, and Craig hasn't even asked about my team the last 3 weeks. He hasn't even asked.
Because he doesn't want to be miserable. He does not want his weekend
and
to
I don't want to make him miserable.
Yeah. Here's another one. Jennifer giggles like a dolphin.
Yeah. Now she's going to be paranoid about that.
Wait, am I going to start getting haters?
No, that was a compliment. It's like Flipper. It's
not a compliment. Okay, I guess it's fine.
Oh, God.
Okay, so Jen, I'm going to give you a couple of desperation moves if you need to make them this week. One of them is J.D. McKissick might start for Washington if Antonio Gibson doesn't play.
I don't care about any player on Washington. I'm sorry, Dad.
Neither does your father.
I've been a Redskin. No, I've been a Redskin since birth. But for some reason,
you've been a Washington football team since birth.
Yeah.
Originally a Redskin, but now Washington football team. But no, they have really messed me up every week. Putting Heineke in last week, putting Heineke in last week, and then all the other weeks that I've played Redskin players, they have literally made me lose. But fine, whatever. McKissick it is. He'll end up getting hurt too, though. If I get you on my team, just be prepared to get hurt because that's what keeps happening.
Okay. Well, Jerry Jeudy is coming off IR. That's a future move you can make. Just watch that.
Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
He and Cortland Sutton should pair well together in Denver. And Hunter Renfro's available, so if you need to add him, I think he's going to have a good game against Philadelphia. But he's kind of a week-to-week thing.
Yeah, I had him for 1 week, and I got bored, and I dropped him. But here's the thing, Paul. I'd love to add all these people, but who do I drop? Because this week I need the people that are starting, and I might not even be able to play them.
No, I mean, I think you could get away with probably.
Are you afraid anyone you have that you drop is going to be picked up by somebody else as bad as they are?
God, stop it.
No.
I mean, I don't really care at this point whether I lose some of these guys. They're terrible.
Well, I'm just saying if you have to play some of these guys because the guys with the Q's next to their name wind up being out. Otherwise, I think you're probably about as good as you can be based on what's available. But I like the fact that Damian Harris is on your roster. I think that's good. He's going to have a good season on the way out. So.
Who?
Damian Harris from the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, the running back. Yeah.
Also an Alabama
exactly,
guy.
Dad. Who?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a vote. Who thinks I still have a chance?
Are we supposed to raise our hand?
Way too much silence.
No, wait a minute.
That was way too much silence.
You want audio or video? Because we're on a set. We can raise our hand. Let's ask everybody in the chat room, yes or no? Just yes or no. Does Jennifer at 1-5 still have a chance to get in the fantasy football league?
Oh, and I meant to tell y'all.
Oh, they added them. No, they added them more. They're just 6
No,
now.
yeah, that's what I was about to say, Dad. Okay, so we have 8 weeks left counting tonight, okay? And so we have 8 weeks left. Let's say I make a run for it, okay? And then I did finally get the girl. I got the girls to vote after we got off the phone last week, and I said I want all y'all to keep in mind that I am 1-5, or actually at this point I was 1-4 and in last place. And I said, what do y'all think about? How do y'all feel about adding 6 teams into the playoffs. I was like, and every single girl in the league voted yes because it's beneficial for everybody. But here's the changer here. Here's how it gets changed up. So originally when we had the 4, if you're in the top 4, you play the same opponent twice, 2 weeks in a row. And so that's what makes it fair is like if you have a bad week but you're really good, you're not just, out of it. But if you change it to 6, then the top 2 teams going into the playoffs, they get a bye week. And then you only play your opponent 1 week instead of 2 weeks. So that's what changes it up. But every single girl voted yes, and so we are changing it. I still don't think that's going to help me in any way. But, I mean, it definitely gives me more hope.
Well, you're only 2 games behind at that point then, if you're at the 6-game playoff. So could you make up 2 games?
If she can win this weekend?
Yeah, let's see.
Stop getting ahead of ourselves here. This is getting.
Dad,
what's true?
Can everyone just pray to who they believe in for me to win this week? Like, let me just get a win,
oh
please.
My God, the answer's no. Chris said no with the sad face. From
the Dawson guy?
From Cameron, no. Mark, not a chance with a tear emoji.
Oh my God.
John Kelly, no. Daniel, nope. Even with a 6-team playoff. Here's from Caden. She can, I lost that one. Oh,
wait,
Jennifer.
Even if I win out? Golly, guys.
From Caden, she can still make it, but it would be a tough. Well, no, they're just being honest, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your team, you have to win this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter, apparently. So, okay. Well, here's the next year. Woo-hoo.
Okay, here's from Biscuits and Gravy. She can make the playoffs if there's not more than 6 teams in the league. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this has been fun. I hope everyone enjoyed my team this year, and we'll talk to you next year.
No, we want you to have this absolute comeback.
Daniel Acton said you might have a better chance of catching a fart and painting it green.
Oh, my
Stop.
God. Stop. All right, you girls be very nice out in Lubbock, okay?
We will. All
right.
All right.
They're 5-2. They have a chance. 5-2. All right. Back with Paul's top 5 or not, Paul?
We can tap dance.
Oh, here's the tweet. Armstrong, we have the tweet of the Kentucky basketball player. My right contact is really starting to do what it did in Duncanville, guys. This is interesting. All right, here we go. This is a tweet. As if Kentucky needed any more advantages in recruiting plus messaging to future 5-star players, freshman Ty Washington has signed an NIL with a Porsche dealership in Louisville, per his Instagram account. In other words, the sport will continue to spin on its axis. You can do it, right?
Yeah, he just actually could sign it rather than the Kentucky booster that normally would.
Yeah.
And if you're another coach of a team that's trying to win a national title in basketball, you know what you do? Next time you're in front of a bunch of your guys that are businesses in your area, you just put this up there. Hey, need your help, right?
Yeah.
Can you say that? Can you legal? Of course you can.
Nick Saban did it.
Yeah. So,
Nick Saban said, look, we got to have them. We got to have the NIL. The multiple coaches said we got to have the NIL. Our people are going to have to step up.
Isn't that interesting, though? The SEC was 5th among conferences who have the most NIL money, at least at this point, because they were ahead of the curve in the first place. So, So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's great for those players, and I don't know. I don't really have many more thoughts on it. It's a good deal for them, and I'm sure some of the businesses have been able to gain from these deals as well. I'm sure there are some that are probably like, yeah, we tested this, and we might not get back in the NIL thing, but it's constantly evolving, and it's weird to see. But like I said, I wasn't even crapping on Kentucky by saying that. Just insert school name here. As far as the buying cars, I mean, we can go back to Eric Dickerson in the Trans Am. We can go to Barry Switzer camping out in a hotel room next to Billy. Like all the things that have gone on over the years. Now it's just out in the open. That's all it is, really. That's all it is. It's just out in the open. That's how I see it, at least.
I agree. I think it is. I think that a lot of this was going on in the first place, and now you can do it and not care. You get to do what you want.
It's kind of the legal weed strategy in that the states who have legalized marijuana decided that, hey, we're spending a lot of money and prosecuting stuff that's just not changing anything.
Throwing a lot of people in jail for way too long for certain crimes. Yeah,
it's costing our state more money, and we could make money on this. So the NCAA essentially with NIL, and of course the courts had to make them do it, but is now just coming to the realization of like, look, nothing we did ever stopped it. The death penalty from SMU didn't stop it. It just said, okay, maybe don't be as cavalier as SMU was about it. Take a couple of steps. The Miami thing with Nevin Shapiro didn't stop it. None of that stuff stopped it.
Reggie Bush and USC.
Reggie Bush didn't stop it.
Kansas might be as loaded as ever, and they've been a team that's gone to the Final Four a lot, although last year was Baylor's year.
Well, and they threw middle fingers at the NCAA from the very onset. I mean, that's how much of a joke it is. Bill Self put on a chain and did a de facto commercial, basically just pulling his pants down and, showing his backside to the NCAA like, I dare you to do anything to me. That's how much I don't care about you guys or I'm scared of you guys. So, yeah.
Well, and
Spencer got 2 vehicles, and look what happened to him from biscuits and gravy.
Well, that's the opposite side of things. Yeah.
But again, why are they fighting this when, again, they're not even bringing knives to a gunfight. They're not even bringing rocks. They're bringing pillows to a gunfight.
The fight's over already.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that's what they were. That's what they were doing. And so, you know what? Make it legal. It's going to save you a whole lot more headaches than getting a call in the middle of the night going, "Hey, guess which booster that gave us a Lamborghini just got a DUI." Oh, great. What's he going to tell people? It's just all those things that are.
Here's a chat from Chris. Smokey, since these kids are no longer considered student athletes, doesn't that cause the NCAA to lose its tax-exempt status? I'm not smart enough to know the answer.
Well, if they have to pay them, if they're paying, the
NCAA is not paying these guys.
Yeah.
It's the dealerships, it's the restaurants, that's the whole catch. It's not the schools paying anything.
Chris, they're still student athletes. They're student athletes who can have jobs now, and that job is endorsements. They're still student athletes. They're
there's
not
no limit
yet
on how much they can get. I mean, we've seen that with
NIL has nothing to do with the school. It has everything to do with the school can't stop them from doing.
Yeah, now if the school was sitting there, that's the next thing though they're trying to do with the whole law we talked about that people were looking to pass as far as unionizing and. I know there's been a lot of things that probably have had overreactions, whether it be NIL or realignment or whatever, but that would be something that would turn the sport in all of college athletics on its head. So we'll see. But yeah, the NIL thing, you give the guy a Porsche, that's great. But if he's like a Spencer Rattler, I mean, why did Spencer Rattler need 2 cars in the first place? I don't know. But cool if you can get that. And I guess he looks good driving around town as the backup quarterback now. I wonder what Caleb Williams is driving.
I can't tell what kind this is, but does it matter? None of us would turn it down. I wonder how much a Porsche would cost. Well, it depends.
Several $100,000.
A 911 Carrera model is $97,000.
Oh, that's it?
The Carrera T models are $102,000. The Targa 4 models start at $110,000, and the 911 GTS models start at $120,000.
Yeah, so good for those guys getting those vehicles. Yeah,
this one looks like it's kind of a small. Look at it. See that? It's a little smaller. But not that any of us would say, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina and the top 5, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
If you are looking to buy a new home or sell the one you're in, you need to call my friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty at 254-214-3713. Lance is a local realtor with a unique perspective. That's how he describes himself. And look, this is a seller's market right now. So if you're going to try to sell your home on your own, well, best of luck to you, but you really need someone to navigate it through for you. There's a house down the street from me, and it says for sale by owner. And it said that for months and months now. You need a realtor who can get that house onto the market, get the great deal for it, and help you save money on the house you're going to buy so you don't lose all your profits from the house you just sold. That's Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Look them up online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com, or just Google Lance Donaldson, Waco, and it'll pop up, or give them a call, 254-214-3713.
It's time for some high school football. Berg Colgan Ford proudly celebrates the Panthers, Cadets, Lions, and all the Central Texas football teams as they march their way through the season and down the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgan Ford. We'd love to show you our Broncos, Raptors, and Mustangs. These vehicles are winners with their sporty options and designs. Nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
Grant Dideker, under the umbrella of Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, McLennan County agent. When you contact people about insurance, and people are hit up with it all the time, what do you tell them? What do you say? I know you say you educate, but Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is obviously successful for a lot of different reasons. It has hundreds of
thousands.
thousands.
It's personal service. Okay. It's one-on-one service. Just yesterday, went to a client's house, met with the couple, went over all the coverages, and they said, wow, we've, never had this before. We've had this different insurance and that different insurance, but we've never had somebody actually come to the house and go over everything with us. And wow, we really appreciate that, especially this day and time where it's just a click of a button and you really don't know who you're dealing with. It's a different person you call every time you call that 800 number. You don't know who your agent is. Now they have a face with the name, and it's more personal service.
Grant Dideker, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, McLennan County agent. If someone wants to contact you, just straight on your cell phone?
Yep, 254-265-0442.
Grant Dideker, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, a McLennan County agent.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio. Top 5 realignment things to watch for now. Look, we've got other shoes to drop, and I kind of did these in order again, like I did yesterday. So number 5, the Pac-12 TV deal. This is the next domino that needs to fall, because when the Pac-12 TV deal happens, then everyone else will kind of know what the baseline is or where kind of a negotiating point starts. So you'll know what everything's worth, and then, of course, obviously you could have some Pac-12 teams that aren't happy with that, theoretically. I would think, though, that the Pac-12 is not going to agree to any deal without everybody kind of being on board, given the nature of realignment the last few months.
Okay.
So that would be the next thing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that, too. I do not view them as one of the top brands in college football. So I know they're expected to get big bucks, and, Larry Scott's comments have been pretty positive about the new deal that they'll get, but, I mean, I'm looking around and I'm going like, Yeah, I mean, USC and Washington and Oregon and all those schools are great, but yeah, it'll be curious to see what that ends up and amounts to, because it's not the sexiest conference right now, but it does have big brands and it's content, and that's what we know networks are looking for.
Their commissioner, Kliavkoff,
yeah,
he wants or believes that the Pac-12 network has more value than they're getting in return. And I don't know if they're on Dish or DirecTV, one or the other. They're wanting to go at least market it to the opposite of what is against, I think, whatever the Pac-12 or whoever. Are they at ESPN? They're an ESPN?
No, they're a whole mess is what they are. The Pac-12 network's a big part of why Larry Scott's not the commissioner anymore.
Yeah, and Kliavkoff wants to go out and see if there's a better market, more money for it. I'm not sure if there will be or not, but he wants to. That might delay any announcements of their TV deal, which I think a lot of people were hoping would happen in November, maybe earlier. And because of that, that would set the next motion of whatever happens with the Big 12 and their TV deal, among others.
Yeah, the New York Times said that they're going to announce a 12-year deal for football and men's basketball worth $3 billion with Fox and ESPN, average of $250 a year, meaning that they'll have 21 annually per school would be the number, and that's like $100 million, or that's not $100 million quite, but that's significantly more than what the SEC's current deal is. So, man, if you're talking about $3 billion for the Pac-12, then good Lord,
what's it going to be with the SEC?
Man,
it's going to be like 8.
Or what that will mean to the Big 12. Not that they're going to get more than the SEC, but the Big 12 goes, no, up it more, whatever you can. It's going to make it help. We'll match it or be around that same neighborhood when they expand theirs or extend theirs.
All right, number 4, when is Big 12 round 2, which should be theoretically in November sometime, you would think, but
I think they want to have paperwork signed by the end of November for whoever's going to be a part of Chapter 2.
Yeah, but again, a lot of that could hinge on the Pac-12 deal.
This could move it back. The Pac-12 could push it back a little bit.
Yeah, let me correct myself. I don't want to put bad info out there. I was looking at an old note on the Pac-12, the $3 billion and all of that. So disregard that. I'm sorry. It was an old piece of news that I thought was new.
The point is the Pac-12 network is a bunch of it's like a.
It's not good.
It's nothing that you're like that.
No, they need to definitely improve that network. As far as the Big 12, when does that happen? I mean, we've been talking about it probably before anybody, quite frankly, as far as the round 2 part of it. But when is it and who is it? We know the schools, but there is the chance of is everybody ready to go? Is everybody ready to? And then I was curious too. Let's say Memphis doesn't do what Memphis. Or let's just say that Memphis doesn't have enough ducks in a row, and I'll just use them as an example because you've brought them up before, and they're not ready to make a leap. You can't add just 3 teams.
No.
So what does that do? Does that eliminate somebody from getting into the Big 12?
That can either push it back or you start to look at a couple of the alternatives, and then yet another team from the American Athletic Conference could be involved.
Yeah. All right, number 3, does the AAC have a round 2? Because if they're going to lose 3, potentially 4 more teams, they'd have to probably fill that out. You'd think maybe.
The new teams makes it 14. They're going to lose maybe 3 of them, which would drop it to 11. You can't have just 11. You would have to add at least 1 more, or maybe get
5.
to 16.
Yeah. So that's another interesting part of this. Does this help? Number 2, does this help the Big 12, the 12-team playoff get done any faster or more efficiently when conferences might feel a little stronger and feel like they've got places to move? And I'm not just talking about the Power 5. I'm talking about the Autonomy 5 or the Group of 5. It's saying, hey, look, let's get this done. We're all on board.
But because of the change, the earthquake at the end of July, that was on a fast road. That's not on a fast road anymore. It's like going on a toll road where there's too many toll roads to make you go faster, and you can't because you got to keep paying. Got to stop and pay. So that's delayed things at least for now.
They got to do too much of this with people.
Hey, by the way, if in fact something was to happen, and one of the 4 teams that we've mentioned in Chapter 2, we've mentioned them a lot, but remember, Colorado State is at least part of a discussion. Could be. That would a couple other things, or people would have to pull out or not be ready for them to be a part of that conversation.
Yeah. And number 1, what happens to Conference USA?
Yeah, they're
at 5-6 teams now.
Yeah, I know.
What do you do?
I wish them the best. I want them to survive just like a lot of – I don't want to see a conference dissolve, but it might have to be a couple of them just merged together, which has also been denied by a couple of people.
You do a couple of scenarios that Brett McMurphy talked about. You go get Marshall, or you keep Marshall and Old Dominion, and you add James Madison and Liberty. That's one route that they could go. But then again, James Madison could end up in the Sun Belt. And, maybe Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss end up there. Yeah, I don't know. Conference USA's teetering, though. I mean, they are. I mean, they're going to have to figure something out. So they're either going to have to figure out how to keep Marshall and ODU and then also add a James Madison, for example, and a Liberty, or keep what they have, manage to keep what they have, and then go and add like a James Madison or something. Yeah, it's not a lot of great options out. Not a lot of options out there for Conference USA at this point. So. Yeah, tough day for as much as the American is celebrating. Conference USA certainly is.
It always is when one conference celebrates any kind of growth or expansion, it means it's at the expense of another, and then there's that domino effect that we've talked about. That it, Paul?
Yep.
Very well done. Thanks to Hayden Bumpus and Jack McKenzie. Armstrong Sims in the studio. Appreciate Marco's Pizza for delivering to help us get through the day. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak, our amazing sponsors from day one and all that have joined ever since as we continue to grow. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports on YouTube. I'm David Smoak. Have a great night. Back at it again tomorrow at 3, Sikkim 365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.